Ditto.
Wicket first ball.
I've
Dunno.
already said forward.
Yeah, probably about here, I suppose, mate.
Umpires Billy Taylor and Ben Debenham.
Billy Taylor and
Ben Debenham. Shall I do first 5 and then get at the end if it's exciting?
yeah, sure, that makes sense. We'll switch it up. I'll throw to you for the first ball, just as we did. Yeah, that's good. Fletch. Playing the loop that's been running from an hour ago, not from just before. So the stuff that's been going out has been from a long time ago. Yeah. as of now.
Welcome to Lords for Middlesex and Sussex in the Vitality Blast. I'm Adam Collins. I've got Isabel Westbury with me here. This was the scene of a magnificent game on Saturday when Middlesex and Kent had a tie on the final ball. We should be so lucky to have another game like that tonight.
Absolutely, I feel as though it was they were the trendsetters, Middlesex. We had another tie later in the in a T20 Vitality Blast. We almost had one again today in that match between Hampshire and Essex down in Chelmsford, but it wasn't to be. But we've got another opportunity to have a go at it. Sussex so far top of the table. Middlesex have got 1 point from both of their matches, but in slightly different circumstances. A washout and then that tie. I wonder what we have in store tonight.
The news from Lords is that Sussex have won the toss. Luke Wright, the evergreen Luke Wright, has elected to insert the home side Middlesex, so we have walking to the middle at the moment Stevie Eskenazi and Max Holden, who've both been outstanding. Indeed, they've been the Knight Frank players of the match in the 2 games so far that Middlesex have played. A washout at Chelmsford and the aforementioned tie against Kent on Saturday. So one change for Middlesex as a debutant, Luke Holman, the 19-year-old leg spinner, comes into the side at the expense of the seamer Miguel Cummins, and Sussex are unchanged. But you've been following the progress of Luke Holman.
Absolutely. Well, he's another young man from North Middlesex CC, so along with Ethan Bamber and Joe Cracknell, neither of them playing this evening, but there does seem to be a good strong young cohort coming through there. He received his cap earlier today from the other leggy Nathan Souter, and a lot of affection. He's been around the Middlesex setup since the age of 9, playing age group for the county, so I think an exciting moment for him.
Is he with players now on the field? It'll be Stevie Eskenazi facing the first ball of this clash. Sussex are ready to go. We're ready to go. I'll handball to you for the first ball.
Absolutely. And it looks as though Eskenazi is going to be on strike as he faces the first delivery, and this is played into the covers, and that's a beautiful run to start things off. Four runs to the cover boundary, and it's George Garton there who delivered that first delivery. It was full, slightly wide, and Eskenazi, who we saw with that beautiful knock, 84 or 52, to really set things up for Middlesex in that last match, is picking up where he left off.
Yeah, absolutely, bit of width there. Wouldn't call it a loosener. You don't really see many looseners in short form cricket, but put it away with ease.
Garton again, and this one just slightly straighter, back of a length, and that's a better delivery from the young seamer. 23 years old. Played for both England Lions and also in the PSL, so already a bit of experience under his belt.
Yeah, he missed that Bob Willis Trophy game against Middlesex where the sides played at Radlett a couple of weeks ago, but was in the Wickets the week before that and looking to continue to keep his name right in the line of England selectors.
This one's cut through the offside between the man at backward point and I guess a gully. And it was aerial for a minute there. And you just saw backward point just watch it sail past him. Nothing he could do about it. But frustrating. 4 runs though. Take that.
Yeah, willing to take the risk there, of course. Ample room to work with, like there was with the first delivery. Fraction shorter. There was no way that was being caught. Good striking.
8 of the first 3 balls. This one's just turned away onto the onside. Square leg out there in the deep. It means Max Holden will shortly face his first delivery. In the beautiful surrounds of Lords, and I must say the weather is set slightly fairer than it was when we were here at the weekend.
Yes, on Saturday it was blowing a gale. It was freezing cold, but it's a glorious evening here at headquarters. Can't ask for much more than this. The sun slowly setting, the shadows lengthening across the famous ground, and looking forward to settling into 3 enjoyable hours here. Hopefully another high-scoring game. Eskenazi, as you say, picking up from where he left off on Saturday.
Left armour to left-hander as Holden pushes this forward, out to mid-on, and a good single.
So Eskenazi made 84 off 52 balls against Kent, and also 24 off 11 balls at the start against Essex. Before Holden got going, it was Eskenazi who set the momentum in the direction of the visitors on that occasion. So working from a good start in this competition.
Deep evening sunlight, and this just finds the inside edge of Eskenazi. And this is a very good opening over indeed. 10 for no wicket. Eskenazi, or 11 for no wicket even. Eskenazi has 10 and Holden has 1. Middlesex have got off to a good start.
Yeah, finding the boundary twice there. The man who's been leading Middlesex in the Bob Willis Trophy campaign. Of course, Stephen Finn's got the armband on in short form cricket, but that leadership role's clear from... Well, the man, he's now 26 years of age. I was going to say the young man, but he's been around for a long time as far as his journey in the game. Of course, via Australia and born in South Africa and played rep cricket in the Southern Hemisphere, but very much a Londoner these days, and been with the club at Middlesex for what must be going on 5 years now.
Well, from a Sussex perspective, it's no surprise that Ollie Robinson is going to pick things up from the pavilion end. Tall right arm seamer, very fast, and Eskenazi happy to throw his arms at it straight away. An inside edge down to deep backward square. That's what we've seen from Eskenazi throughout these few matches. He's happy just to throw his hands at it.
Yeah, and Robinson, we talked a lot about his form against Middlesex last year in red ball cricket when we were down at Radlett in the Bob Willis Trophy, but he picked up 4 for 15, his career best figures in T20 cricket last year in this corresponding fixture, where Sussex were victorious by 8 wickets.
Holden on strike, wide stance. And he's caught something through there. I just wonder whether it felt as though he thrashed at something. I wonder whether he just brushed the surface of the pitch rather than the ball. Obviously no reaction from the keeper, but it's one of those where I was expecting the keeper to go up actually.
Yeah, there's an audible sound from our commentary position, so we're at long off if you're watching on the stream and wondering where we're perched up on the... where are we? This is the... there's a name for this particular balcony in the pavilion.
Robinson has caught him high on the bat, and it just falls short of the mid-wicket fielder. You can see it just rose very quickly on Holden. He tried to pull it. A rising delivery. Did well to get away with that one.
You're a member here at the MCC. Is this the champagne bar?
This is normally where the
Yes.
Veuve Clicquot champagne bar normally is. I think I once inquired how much you needed to spend to get one of those sort of Trilby hats with the Veuve Clicquot branding on it. As Robinson is in, and this is thrashed into the onside, and with that speed, it's going to go all the way into the stands. 6 runs for Eskenazi. We talked about his timing. Well, that one just helped the ball on its way. It was beautiful.
Yeah, very modern shot, wasn't it? Quick bat speed, a flick of the wrist, lifting it over the top of backward square-legged into the mound stand about 5 rows back, which means that one of the Sussex fielders can't quite pick up who it is out there at this stage. We're in the other side of the ground entirely. But, yes, it was just on leg stump, but instead of playing it forward a square, which would have been the custom for the longest time these days, once players of Eskenazi's capacity see a ball that they're able to swing at, they can elect which boundary they try and pop it over, and backward square leg was his decision. A good one. He's found it 3 times now. 17 not out off 7 balls. Middlesex 19 without loss. They're going very nicely indeed.
Just brings back flashes of memory of that Kent match and the way in which Kent started their innings. Daniel Bajram and Zach Crawley just absolutely flying. As Robinson is passing the outside edge of Eskenazi. Nice looking delivery, that one. Good reply.
Yeah, good bounce back. Perfect delivery, really. Whether it's white ball or red ball down the slope here. Just holding its line a wee bit. Would have been expecting it to seam back in, but shaped away, so going the other way up the famous hill here at Lord's. You can see why Robinson's so highly thought of by national selectors.
Here he is again. Eskenazi on strike, and it's through the covers, back at a point. Even. Again, a slightly wider delivery, having to throw his hands at it. For a moment, aerial, but way beyond the reach of point, diving to his left. 23 for no loss after 2 overs. This is a very good start indeed.
Yeah, it's a classy shot, isn't it? Eskenazi's right on the ball this evening. Advancing forward and just waiting, adjusting in the crease. Picking the gap. Timing perfect. He's already 21 after just 2 overs.
Well, it's instigated a change in the bowling. And see Tamar Mills take over from Garton at the nursery end. From pace to pace to pace, really.
Yeah, again, another player who's been in the setup, of course, playing 5 T20 internationals for England between 2016 and 2018. But these days, making his living outside of England, playing in a number of different competitions, T20 domestic competitions around the world. Still rapid.
Holden to face him. And that's full, wrapped on the pads, down leg side. And that's really been the way of Sussex in this blast so far. Blast them out with a ridiculous pace up top.
Yeah, it was noticeably quicker, wasn't it? Running in from the nursery end, and that was full and on the legs, but Holden just didn't quite get the bat down in time. Wouldn't mind seeing a radar on that. He's we saw, of course, when he did play for England, he was up and around 95 mile an hour.
Here he comes again. And this is a pull shot. It's gone high in the air. And splice of the bat. But it's landed not only safe, it's gone for 4. It seemed to hang in the air forever. There's a man at deep backward square. But he had a lot of ground to cover. And the ball beat him to it. Definitely not a true shot from Holden, but runs nonetheless.
He wasn't in control, was he? It was on him in a flash and was committed to the stroke. We've got Rawlins down at deep backward square. Had he been running in from the traditional fine leg position, he might have been in the game, but Robinson's doing the work on the 45 on the edge of the circle instead.
Mills left arm over, and this is cut down to third man and taken. 1 too many for Holden. We've already seen the pace he's really struggled with. And that was a good catch down on the boundary edge, just coming in. That's why they're there. And you wonder perhaps why they perhaps had a fine leg as well down on that boundary. But no problem as far as Sussex are concerned, because they've got a next ball. Means that Holden goes for 6. He's faced 5 deliveries and Middlesex are 27 for 1.
Yeah, again, I think that might have had a little bit to do with the delivery before it. On that occasion, seeing a little bit of width outside the off stump, trying to use the pace and make the most of it behind point, but put it right down the throat of the man down at third man, and that's the first Middlesex wicket to fall with the score on 27. So Holden, a century in his first game, but out in single digits on Saturday and this evening.
Wow. That means we're going to see Martin Anderson make his way to the crease.
Looking forward to this. I think we feel like we've adopted Martin Anderson over the last couple of weeks as well. I talked to the young man this morning, actually, to write a profile about him for the paper later in the week. I thought the time was right.
I think so. Mills into Eskenazi. Now he's driving that in the covers and he's going to beat the fielder. Good use of the pace. Just pushing it through the covers. Another 4 to Middlesex, another 4 to Eskenazi, moved to 25, 31 for 1.
Just held his shape. He's a player not only in form but super confident at the moment, Eskenazi. He was really important in that 4th innings chase against Sussex in the 4-day game. Then we mentioned before, got a good start against Essex. He was the Knight Frank player of the match with his 80, highest score in T20 cricket for him on Saturday. Finished with 84 off 52 deliveries, his 6th half century in this format, and really feeling as though he can take it to this high-profiled and well-credentialed Sussex pace attack.
Here comes Mills round the wicket to Eskenazi. And this is high and thrashed to the past or even over backward point. And that's what he can do. You could hear that effort, that grunt there from Mills. But Eskenazi just quickly leaning onto his back foot, quick flash of the wrists. And it sailed high above backward point. No chance there. 4 more runs.
Yeah, he would have expected perhaps something a fraction shorter after the ball before it, so made room to open up the offside, backing away before the ball was bowled, and it didn't matter that Mills followed him just a tad. He had enough time to play that shot for the second time this evening over the top of backward point, running away for a boundary. Really no risk in the shot once he got to the ball.
Final ball of the over. Mills, slower ball, and lent on by Eskenazi, and there is no run. It's fielded nicely in the covers. So 3 overs gone, 35 for 1. Eskenazi on 29 from 12 deliveries, and Anderson about to face his first ball.
Nice, true, fast track here at Lords as well. I suppose the benefit of having no cricket, if you can take that as cold comfort, is that the tracks here by this time of year have been played on a number of times, but not the case in 2020. So a fresh pitch tonight, of course, and they're playing 2 over from the pitch that netted, 418 runs in 40 overs on Saturday. So you can expect a similar composition of turf, and again, the main characteristic on Saturday was that it was quick and bouncy, and we've seen much the same in the first 3 overs this evening.
Ollie Robinson's resuming things from the pavilion end. Straight to Anderson, is driven nicely. Just to the right, a little bit straight of cover, and then makes its way down to the boundary edge, and it's just made it. And poor fielder just about got to the ball in time, but all he could do was flick it over the edge, not pull it back in. That's the worst chase. That's a horrible chase.
No, it's not fun at all. To the deep pocket here, down in front of the Plum Warner stand.
Poor old Luke Wright, earning his stripes. Or his triangles, as far as the Sussex kit are going.
Yeah, what a nice shot too, just pushing that through cover. That was more a red ball stroke, and we've seen that his timing throughout this 2020 season has been fantastic. In good form.
Here he is again, and there's a turn into the onside. Quick singles taken. And well run between the wickets, between these two.
I mentioned that I interviewed Martin Anderson this morning. He completed his economics degree at the University of Leeds before becoming a professional cricketer. Wrote his thesis in interest rates in Japan.
Gosh, that is quite an interesting topic of the last 20 years. Or 30 years, actually. Back to the 80s. Robinson, right arm over. Slower ball. Dug out of the crease, and they've gone for the single. The shot, the striker's end. Missed the wicket, hit the player. He's in safe.
Tell you what, had that hit, I think that Anderson might have been in some trouble, but they just have a little conversation in the middle of the pitch after that, just to make sure they've got their lines of communication clear before they go again.
.41 for 1. Robinson, Anderson high back lift, bounces it into the turf, hits him on the pads, on the thigh pad even.
Yeah, a bit of extra bounce, angling down the slope from this pavilion end. You can imagine that Robinson will be the sort of bowler that when he does get an opportunity at test level, he's going to enjoy bowling from the pavilion end at Lords.
To have that power and that rhythm, it's such a beautiful feeling.
It does feel inevitable, doesn't it, that he's going to be playing test cricket sooner rather than later.
I'll give you the score from the Pakistan-England T20 in a minute. 30-20 going on over there in Manchester. This is pulled into the onside. Falls in front of the man at deep backward square. Just a single to Anderson. He moves to 6, 42 for 1. Pakistan are 47 for 2 into the start of the 7th over against England. I think we saw...
That's exciting score too, to see that Haider Ali, who's making his international debut, he's 22 off 10 balls. He's already down the boundary 4 times. Big raps on that young man, having done so well in the PSL.
So Tom Curran's got a wicket, as is Moeen Ali. As Robinson into Eskenazi. He gives himself room, and a thick outside edge runs down to third man for 1 run, and that will end the over. 40.
Assume that by the time you look up to check yourself, especially when on radio, I suppose, that it'll be where it needs to be.
Every ground has its own way with the scoreboard, and it normally takes a sort of
well, we found our own rhythm.
So,
we found our own rhythm at Radler, didn't we? We realised that it was best just to get ahead of the board by about 10 seconds, but here it's fairly efficient, as you'd expect. Good for Eskenazi as well, even though it was a miscued final strike, that he will be on strike for another over at the start of a power play over. I mean, he's the man who looked so confident against Mills in the previous set. Already 31 off just 14 balls.
Here's Mills around the wicket. Slower ball and guided backward a point. And slow enough for them to run through for a single.
2 bumper power plays on Saturday, weren't they? So Middlesex were going at better than 10 and over by the time they finished their first 6. As for Kent, they were 84 for none after 6 overs.
Yeah.
It was some incredible hitting between Zach Crawley, but especially Daniel Bell-Drummond. They were cruising to victory at that stage, but
I still can't believe that the first wicket fell in the 7th over when they were on 89. I mean,
yeah.
whew. Hold it back in there, Middlesex. That's the spirit. Here's Mills. This is hit hard into the turf and bowled hard into the turf as well. Real effort delivery that yields no run.
Yeah, I love that grunt as Mills lets go of the ball. You know he means it. Good test this for Anderson, who we mentioned had success with both ball and bat through 2020 in the Bob Willis Trophy. Made runs on Saturday, 24 of them. Took an excellent catch at long off at a very important time, which contributed to Middlesex splitting the difference in that fixture, tying it on the last ball.
Here's Mills again, and this is a straight pull by Anderson. Misses the man at a straightish mid-wicket, and it's mid-on at Fields, so another single. Things just slowing up a little bit since that wicket. With Mills and Robinson finding those lines with that speed they've got, making things difficult, or more difficult at least. Eskenazi 32 from 15. Mills just drawing.
Yeah, interesting. They've now got a third man when Eskenazi's on strike, and I wonder whether they'll drop a second man outside the circle on the offside, or they'll stick with their current formation. So a deep square leg, but 3 on the circle,
Yeah,
and they're catching cover as well. So they're setting it up.
huge gap between deep square and a wider mid-on. Mills to Eskenazi, moves his feet, and this is guided beautifully down to third man. Just the single though, because there was a man there, as Adam just said.
He gets one for it, but played it beautifully. I mean, opening the face of the bat, you could see from our angle how quickly it raced down to Ollie Robinson at third man, just in front of us. So 8 balls to go in the power play.
Mills to Anderson. It's a slow delivery, and there's a bottom edge there. As Anderson on his toes just tries to whip it away, and tries to cut it away and doesn't really manage it. Bamboozled by the variation from the experienced Tamar Mills.
Yeah, it's why Mills is so well thought of when it comes to these overseas auctions, that it's not just pace. A lot of guys bowl at the same pace as Mills. It's that he's got a very deep bag of tricks, executes it well. Nice and accurate, reflected in his overall economy rate as well. Always a threat.
Final ball of this 5th over. Mills top of his mark. Anderson. This one's pulled. Oh, there's a tempted diving catch. Just got one hand to it at mid-wicket. A really good effort there from Harry Finch. But all he could do really was parry it. So close to sticking. It would have been a tremendous effort if it had, but it saved certainly 4 runs. It got a single for it, and it means at the end of 5 overs it's 47 for 1. But my goodness me, how good was that? Almost how good was that?
Yeah, well, Anderson didn't get all of it, and it gave Finch just that fraction of a second longer to time his dive, and he timed it perfectly. He took off at the right time, had to go full stretch, one hand. Would have been a true classic catch had he pulled it down, but as you say, almost certainly still stopped 4 runs given how quick the outfield is here at Lords. So we're going to see a change after 2 overs from Robinson at the pavilion end. David Weiser, who was so important with the bat. A match-winning hand indeed with the bat for Sussex on Saturday. Unbeaten on 43 at the end off just 31 balls. The South African veteran, his first over tonight. Bowls here. 1 ball, 1 over left in the power play. First ball tucked into the onside by Anderson. He moves to 9. Yes, Weiser. This is his 229th game of T20 cricket. Over 2,300 runs, 175 wickets. I mean, he's really been around for a very long time. 43 not out at the end on Saturday. Played 26 times for South Africa before registering as a Colpack player. In here at Eskenazi, making space. Could go for 2 here. That's really, really good running between this pair. Eskenazi called it early, but Anderson was down there in a flash from the non-striker's end. Middlesex bring up their 50. Still got 4 balls left in the power play. Eskenazi 35 of those from 17 deliveries.
Yeah, it was really well anticipated there by Eskenazi. Slightly slower delivery. Waited really well on it.
So 5 men inside the circle on the offside. They're not used here though, as Eskenazi. We saw him pick up a ball from that length off Robinson and pop him into the 5th row of the mound stand. This time he elects to go along the carpet for a single. So the men out for these final 3 balls of the power play are at deep mid-wicket. Rawlins doing the work there. Was also a man at deep backward square. Good slower ball, but nicely picked up there by Anderson. 1 bounce, 2 bounces into the rope at long on in front of us here. Well struck, just waiting on it. Didn't go through the strike rather too early. Again, just adjusting in the crease, staying nice and still, swinging through the ball. He moves into double figures. Anderson's got 2 starts in the competition, 23 and 24 in round 1 and round 2. Short. Hooks at this, shout for caught behind from the men who are on the circle on the offside. Not as much interest from the man on the 45, nor the bowler for that matter. It's signalled a wide accordingly down the leg side. How often do you see it, Isabel, where you see some very enthusiastic fielders where balls may or may not have touched something on the way through to try and deny a wide being called?
Well, regardless of the veracity of the appeal, I mean, if you are a bowler and you think you might have a nick on it, and then suddenly it's called a wide, you go through all the emotions in one little fleeting second.
So Weiser again to Anderson, taking on Robinson at mid-on, gets there comfortably. We've got 1 ball to come in this power play. So Eskenazi's done his job. He's got 1 ball left in it. 36 from 18 balls. They're going to stick with a deep mid-wicket and a deep square leg to finish. About 30 metres away from each other. Everyone else inside the circle. Weiser to Eskenazi goes just wide of Rawlins at deep mid-wicket, but they'll be satisfied with the single. So power play done. Eskenazi 37, Middlesex 58 for 1. They'll go for their little COVID pit stop as well. Isabel Westbury, after being inserted by Sussex at the toss, they'll be very happy with that.
I think so. It's not quite the sort of the explosive power play that we saw in that match between Middlesex and Essex, or Middlesex and Kent even earlier on over the weekend. But it's a run rate of just under 10. They've got Eskenazi and Anderson looking very comfortable, not only as batters but with each other. They look like a very comfortable partnership. They've run some really good 2s in the crease, drop and runs, just placing it in the right areas. This is encouraging signs for Middlesex.
Yeah, they've started well, haven't they? We're going to see spin for the first time this evening. Of the left arm variety. Into the onside to begin there by Eskenazi. Moving Briggs with ease for a single. Briggs, who's been very good in this competition so far, picking up 3 wickets for Sussex in their victory over Hampshire. In what they called the, now I better say this correctly, otherwise I'll get yelled at, but the El Clasicost.
It's so terrible.
Briggs to the crease, around the wicket with his left arm orthodox. El Clasicost. I mean, it doesn't take much to work out why. I mean, I was amused by it. I didn't realise that it's an ongoing nickname for that particular fixture. Briggs, gets through the defences of Anderson. That's good, savvy bowling. Bit of extra pace, and on that angle, Anderson got a bit muddled up, and the ball went through between inside edge and pad after advancing. So Middlesex lose their 2nd wicket with the score on 59. Anderson's gone for 14. But again, he's been dangerous in this competition, Briggs, and is so again here, Isabel Westbury.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, that's how he earned his England caps, wasn't it? It was through the Vitality T20 Blast, playing for Hampshire. This competition does give chances, and that's why someone like Eskenazi, in the way he's performing at the moment, if he can carry on that way, especially in the sort of COVID era of international cricket, when you're having full squads for each different format, there are opportunities, and that's really good from Briggs.
Yeah, we've talked a lot over the last few weeks, Isabel, about young players getting their chance that they may not otherwise have had. Well, there's experienced campaigners like Briggs as well. We're mentioning his England opportunities coming from his career at Hampshire and playing in a number of finals days and getting that exposure on the big stage where a lot of people are watching. Well, he would have played at Lord's many times over that journey and knows how to slow the run rate down. The best way of doing that, taking a wicket, and he's done so. Third ball. And sure enough, with that confidence, he's ringing the changes. Gubbins, who made a half-century combining for a 111-run stand with Eskenazi on Saturday. He's to the wicket. Gubbins made 53 from 33 balls. So outside the circle, we've got now a deep cover, long off, a long on, a deep mid-wicket, and a deep backward square. Bowls here to Gubbins. Oh, beating him outside the off stump with one that held its line. Very good start this from the tweaker. Around again. Oh, nearly finds the outside edge of Gubbins. This has been a fine over. A single and 4 dots, or should I say a single, 3 dots and a wicket. And the 2 deliveries he's bowled to Gubbins, both of those have been asking the right kind of questions as well. So going left arm around the wicket to the left-handed Gubbins. He's in great nick. Last ball of his first over here. And Briggs is defended. Well bowled indeed. 1 for 1 from his over. So Middlesex are now 59 for 2 after 7. But the first over with the field back has worked a treat for the visitors.
It's not a bad introduction to proceedings as a bowler. I think I'll take that.
We often see it, don't we? The 7th over, statistically, the 7th over of a T20 innings is where the fewest runs are made. I think it goes over 7 and over 1 are the 2 that have the least runs scored, or something like that. That might be a Big Bash stat from a few years ago, but we were often seeing fielding teams, especially when defending totals, go pretty well in over number 1 and over number 7. I suppose it stands to reason after the power play recalibration of sorts. More spin here. First ball pushed from Beer behind point for a single. So Eskenazi again gets down the non-striker's end from the first ball. Beer, another experienced campaigner. Been rolling around since 2008 with his leg breaks. He averaged just 18 in the Blast last year. To the crease and bowls to Gubbins. It's the wrong one. Doesn't pick it, Gubbins, at the last minute. Just Q-ends it to backward point.
Poor old Gubbins is desperate to get off the mark.
Yeah, how many dots has he occupied now? That must be 4 dot balls to start his day. Beer bowls to him. Down the leg side. Again, there's a shout for leg before on a ball that looks like it will be signalled a leg side wide, but it's not, which suggests that there might have been a little flick of the pad on the way through. Has to be.
Must have been something, because
Yes.
Gubbins
It's not been
held
given.
his pose for a very long time. He wasn't
Yes.
particularly happy that it wasn't
No,
given.
I think he was hoping the arms would be unfurled, not to be. So Beer operating with 3 out on the leg side and a deep point and a long off on the offside. Can he beat the bowler? He just can in his follow through. Beer did well to stop it, turn around, pick up and throw towards Eskenazi's end, but they were comfortably through by that stage. So Gubbins off the mark from his 6th ball, 61 for 2 Middlesex.
Yeah, I think Gubbins wanted that more than Eskenazi did, just to roll over from that score on naught, get something on the scoreboard.
Beautiful night as the shadow takes over across the strip they're playing on in the middle of Lords, right near the test pitch tonight. Beer bowls and an easy single there from Eskenazi, moving himself into the 40s. They'll look for 2. The bowler, Beer, has to do the fielding. Good throw as well to the end of Eskenazi, who's into the 40s, puts in the diving effort to make sure that he gets to his ground in time. Probably wasn't required, but best to be safe with these things. He's 41 from 22 balls.
Yeah, these two extremely quick between the wickets. But that one was tight.
It was a real feature of their big partnership on Saturday. They put on 111, going at about 11 and over throughout, bridging the power play until the death overs. Beer bowls here. Another wrong un. Eskenazi down towards Rawlins, running in off the rope at deep mid-wicket. End of the over, so just 5 from it. 2 overs since the power play.
Earlier today. Essex Hampshire? Yeah, Essex Hampshire. I think there have been 3 maiden overs in the tournament so far.
It's just 3 maidens.
I think that might, at least it was at the time they were talking. So whether there had been another maiden in that Surrey-Kent match or...
Yeah, it almost stands to reason, but a maiden is often far more important than a wicket in the shortest form. So Briggs, understandably, will continue from the nursery end after his outstanding first over, picking up Martin Anderson and having just 1 single taken from him. He bowls here to Eskenazi. Pushing out to cover. He started so well. All that experience. Three out on the leg side again. Eskenazi over the top of cover. He's placed it well enough for them to get a couple, which they do with relative ease. 66 for 2. But having to get a little bit resourceful in the crease there, just opening up the offside.
So 2 other matches have played the Vitality Blast today. Both earlier starts, both completed.
Briggs around the wicket. Eskenazi pushing down the ground to long on. An easy single there, 67 for 2.
Hampshire beat Essex off the penultimate ball, chasing down their 139. And Kent beat Surrey with relative ease, chasing that down Surrey's 161.
Take a look at that points table in between the innings. So Briggs staying around the wicket to Gubbins, who this time makes plenty of contact, albeit straight to Rawlins, who's sweeping at deep point. He's 2 at 68 for 2. What a gorgeous setting it is, looking down from the top deck of the pavilion here at Lord's. As we noted on Saturday, that cricket doesn't get commentated from this end of the ground. It hasn't for 20 years. Briggs bowls, and again Eskenazi turns him into the onside. Rawlins ball's following him at the moment. 69 for 2. He's 45, Eskenazi. 46 make that. But yeah, we haven't had cricket called from the pavilion at Lord's of a professional nature in any case since 1999. So we're quite privileged to be up here as the nursery end of the ground is redeveloped throughout this season. Briggs around the wicket. Gubbins, lovely wrist flick down to long on, all the way along the ground for a single. Just finding his groove. It's 74-2. At the end of another effective over for Briggs. 6 singles taken from it. Gubbins is on 3, Eskenazi 46. I expect, Isabel, that we'll look back on this as perhaps a one-off, but a lovely one-off, that throughout everything that's happened this year, of course, with the season being delayed and no cricket at Lord's until the 29th of August, but when it did return, having this vantage point looking towards the media centre, which will be back in operation next year, it's been lovely.
I feel that Lord's is all ours.
It does feel that way, doesn't it?
Much rather have a crowd.
I was going to say, can't wait to have the fans back. We'll have a video during the middle of the innings from the Middlesex players thanking the fans for their loyal support. Beer's first ball whipped through mid-wicket for 1. They come back for 2. Great running from Eskenazi. Again, he really has been a cut above in the way that he's worked between the wickets through this tournament, helping Gubbins to move to 5 rather, at 72 for 2.
Yeah, just as we saw with Anderson, they know each other's game so well.
Beer, flatter. Gubbins clipping off his stumps behind square. one of the 3 men on the rope on the leg side, adding a single.
It's one of those partnerships where it's unsaid. They know when each other, they can feel when the other wants to run.
So nearly at the halfway mark, 4 deliveries to go. As Beer reaches the crease. Eskenazi on the drive, cut off at cover. Again, good fielding. They've been most enthusiastic in the field so far today, Sussex. Had an interesting conversation yesterday with Trent Woodhill, the man who's looking after the 100 for the ECB and an Australian assistant coach at the moment, about the blast fielding as Beer bowls here, and Eskenazi takes one to the man at the 45, an easy single there. His observation, being in all the overseas leagues, all the T20 competitions, the IPL he was at for 10 years, the Big Bash, the Australian team, you name it, he's done it, is that the best fielding in world cricket happens in the blast.
Well, we've seen a couple of games where some stunning catches taken. I'm thinking about Dame Villas for Lancashire in a game a couple of nights ago. Just unbelievable stuff that we're seeing.
Gubbins beaten outside the off stump again. That wrong one from Beer really bites and moving across the left-hander. Yeah, the Woodhill argument is that because there are 18 blast teams and they're playing on television so often, and indeed playing in front of crowds so often through the competition, they're better used to the pressure than perhaps Big Bash players might be when they arrive on the big stage. Beer to complete this over. On the leg stump, whipped away by Gubbins. Satisfied with the single. We've had 4 very good overs of spin from Sussex to take us to the halfway mark. So the last 4 overs, just 17 runs taken from them. And Anderson falling along the way at the 10 over mark. Middlesex is 75 for 2 with Eskenazi 47 from 29. Gubbins 7 from 12 as I hand back to Isabel Westbury.
So because there's fewer matches televised?
No, the argument he made is that when Australian players or Indian players end up on the big stage, they haven't had much exposure playing in front of crowds.
Right.
That suddenly they're playing in front of millions of people on television, and the fielding suffers as a result.
Here's Briggs, down the track of Eskenazi. This might just fall into the hands of Long On, and it does. It hung in the air for a long, long time down the track. Came Gubbins, in fact. And it means that one, I just wondered whether he'd fall short and bounce in front of that fielder down on the Long On boundary. He didn't manage it. And skipped down the track. Gubbins got to the pitch of the ball, but all he could do was land it in the hands of the fielder. He goes for 7, 75 for 3.
Well, that's just that pressure, isn't it? We've seen built up over the last couple of overs from spinners at both ends, tying Gubbins down, not letting him work himself into a rhythm. Tried to take the advantage of a delivery that was a fraction more flighted up, and used his feet, got to the pitch, but picked out Weiser down there at Long On, and that's the end of that. So Gubbins not really getting into the innings tonight, and that's thanks to some excellent bowling from the Sussex Dwellers. Yeah,
he really struggled at first against Briggs. Couldn't get off the mark for 5-6 balls. Briggs at one end, Beer at the other. And it's one of those times where you almost just know you're not hitting it the way you want to. But it also means it's pressure on Eskenazi now, 47 from 29. He's got a new partner at the crease. It's Simpson, the non-strikers end. They crossed. Eskenazi just flays us into the offside on a quick single. Well run.
So we've heard from Simpson talking before the competition about feeling as though his batting has never been better. He enjoys getting more opportunities in the shorter form, of course, coming in a fraction higher than he does in red ball cricket. Well, he's got the better part of 10 overs to work with here. Great opportunity for the veteran.
Briggs to Simpson. Hits it back on the bounce to Briggs. No run, dot ball.
Simpson last year made 202 runs in the blast. A strike rate, though, of 147. Very healthy.
Round the wicket, and this one's just popped up in the air on the wrong side of the pitch for Briggs to take the catch. If Eskenazi at the non-strikers end had a Sussex shirt on, that would have popped quite nicely into his hands. In the end, it means Simpson's off the mark. Eskenazi there on 48. It's just turned the onside. I wonder if they're going to try and run 2 here. They settle for the single as Delray Rawlins comes in from the boundary edge. So 78 for 3, Eskenazi there on 49.
Yeah, it's taken Briggs 2.5 overs to concede 10 runs. 2 wickets along the way. Lovely probing spell, this.
Briggs to Simpson, flatter delivery, and this is just dug out. Played along the ground to backward a point, and that yields another single to end the over, and it means that after 11 overs, Middlesex's run rate slowed right down. They're just hovering above the sevens to 79 for 3.
Yeah, we saw Briggs start that over with a flighted delivery at Gubbins, who miscued a lofted drive, picking up a second wicket. And after that, it was all darts, wasn't it? It was trying to get through the over as quickly as possible, transfer, or keep the pressure rather, on the Middlesex players, and not giving them a chance to free their arms and take a chance, especially Simpson, who's just walked out to the middle. He's 2 off 3 balls.
Simpson on strike, Bear continues. And this is a thick outside edge. Runs down to third man, and there's a little bit of a collision between the keeper and Eskenazi. Keeper going for the ball, Eskenazi trying to make the crease, but they're okay. No bad feelings.
So you've got to get to work here at Middlesex. The last 5.1 overs, just 22 runs coming from them, as the spinners have been working beautifully in tandem. They've got to get to work through these middle overs, start accumulating, start hitting those sweepers.
Beer to Eskenazi, plays it into the onside. Beer fielding off his own bowling, and he does well, because he definitely stops the Middlesex bowlers coming through, but it means that Eskenazi's done enough with that single to reach his 50-50 from 32 balls. 5 4s and 1 6, and that's consecutive 50s to the Middlesex red ball skipper.
Yeah, he's been fantastic. Can he bat the whole way through?
Here's Beer to Simpson, reverse sweep, plugs it into the onside. It's running down to the boundary.
Shot.
And I didn't think it would make it, but the fielder there was so straight on that mid-wicket boundary that he just couldn't get there in time. And it means that's very innovative and a good placement there, certainly from Simpson.
Yeah, it was placement more than power, wasn't it? I remember a fine judge of the reverse sweep, you, once said to me that the thing about the reverse is it's got to be a full body commitment. You can't. Yeah. There's no half measures when it comes to the reverse sweep. So if you get your placement right, often it will run away for 4.
A lot of players play it better than the actual sweep because, as you say, you've got to go in for it. My best shot. My only shot. Simpson 7 from 5. Here's Beer. This is just run down to third man. The fielder's on it straight away, so dot ball.
Yeah, it was the first boundary Middlesex have struck since the end of the power play.
Yeah, it just shows these spinners. Spinners are once, the bowlers that we're going to see the death of them in T20 cricket. Well, working in tandem here, and very effectively so. Floated, Fuller. Just to the left shoulder of Luke Wright at extra cover. And Rawlins makes sure it's only 1.
I wonder whether they'll be tempted, Luke Wright that is, just to bowl his spinners out. They're nearly through 6 overs collectively. They've done the job, may as well push on with that rather than breaking with a good thing.
Beer, flatter, turn into the onside. Another single. And they settle for that. So 87 for 3. Eskenazi moves to 51, Simpson to 8. Now, I think that's a good shout, actually, because it is rare that you see a spinner come in for the death overs of a T20, because you can get after them, want to in, so to speak.
Through what will end up being then the final 6 overs, and he'll have 4 bowlers to do it with. So maximum flexibility for the final stanza, which is what you need as a captain.
So Briggs continues an attempted reverse sweep there from Eskenazi. Doesn't get hold of it. Briggs's figure so far 2 for 11 from 3 overs. Beer at the other end 0 for 18 from 3. Wonderful partnership. This is played aerially through the covers, high and wide of Luke Wright at extra cover, and fielded nicely on the cover point boundary. They come back for 2.
Yeah, it's the role that Eskenazi needs to continue playing, keep getting those feet going.
Turn the onside. They're going to look to run 2. I think they might have to settle for 1 here. That's good from Robinson at the square leg boundary. Cut it off in time, 90 for 3. I'm delighted to say that we've had our first spectators in the T20 Blast, and there's been a couple of people on the balconies of the high-rise flats to our right.
So they are.
There weren't many out on the
Good on
blustery.
'em.
There weren't anybody out on the blustery, windy day you had last Saturday.
No, you wouldn't want to be on that.
But
You wouldn't-
today-
Yes.
As Briggs is full toss, thrashed over the man at long on, and a very rare mistake from the Sussex spinner is capitalised upon by Simpson. He moves to 14, 96 for 3.
Well, Briggs has bowled so full but so well in that his balls have been almost yorking both Simpson and Eskenazi, and before that Gubbins, but here giving a full toss to Simpson, who makes no mistake.
This one's fuller and dug out this time by Simpson. Flatter as well.
Yeah, that's more the length he's been hitting time and time again, and you can see why he, with the previous ball, what he was going for at the very least.
Another flat one. Another one nice and full. Simpson makes room for it. Plugs it down to long on. And that's a single to end the over. 97 for 3. And it means that Briggs finishes his spell. 2 for 21 for 4.
Yeah, fabulous figures. 2 important wickets in the middle overs. We always hear the analysts talk about how crucial it is to continue to rotate through the batsmen that their bowlers get to look at in the middle portion of the innings when there should be accumulation, but if you can keep new batsmen coming in, they have to start again, find their rhythm and so on. Yes, Eskenazi's still there, but as far as getting rid of Anderson and now Gubbins through that period, excellent from Briggs. We talked about his experience over a number of years now and showing it here, both in their second round game against Hampshire, where he was the best of the bowlers with 3 for 17, and tonight again with 2 for 21.
Yeah, and to think that included a 6.
Yeah.
It's quite remarkable, really. Well, Beer's going to continue things. Just an update on the England match. Debutant Hyder Ali has scored a 50.
Ooh.
There's Beer, right arm over, floated, driven nicely by Simpson down to the fielder here, Delray Rawlins at long off.
I tell you now, if you haven't seen Hyder Ali bat before, he's 19 years old. He hits the ball 120 metres. And he's got every shot going. He's one of those players who you can just see over the next 5 or 10 years is going to turn a lot of heads. Doing so tonight, playing in his first T20 international.
Absolutely. Beer to Eskenazi. Floated, and Eskenazi had to wait a long, long time for that. He tried to sweep, caught a thick inside edge, and they're going to come back for 3. And it means that will bring up Middlesex's 100. 101 for 3. But that held up an awfully long time, that ball.
Yeah, it's been a long time coming, that second 50 they brought up. Their first in the, after just 5.3 overs. So the next have been hard-earned and losing a couple of wickets along the way. But maybe a bit of wind at their back now as they get to the end of this phase of spin.
Beer, flatter, turned onto the onside. Nicely by Simpson. Come back for 2. Good from these 2 at the crease. They're just trying to rebuild that momentum that they really lost in those middle overs.
Well, they know what they'll be seeing, don't they? I mean, they'll look at the scoreboard and they'll see they're going to be facing Garton, Robinson and Mills, 3 high-quality seamers, and Weiser, who the all-rounder's got so much experience, but they know what's coming next. Seam all the way to the end.
Beer. This is thrashed into the offside. Really nice looking shot there. Gun crack of a shot. Simpson gets 4 runs for it. It's beaten all the field. They've all had a go at it, really. Right there at extra cover, diving to his right. A man at the cover point trying to chase it down. Even Delray Rawlins coming in from the long-off boundary, and none of them could get to it in time. Beautiful stroke. And it brings him to 22 from 13.
Yeah, just waiting, wasn't he? He knew where the gap was, had just to wait a fraction of a second to make contact. Did it perfectly.
Flatter, shorter. This is pulled nicely by Simpson, but almost too nicely. It's given some time for the fielders to get to it. Jamal Mills there and long on. Picks up a single. Eskenazi back on strike. Final delivery, really floated, another inside edge. And that one, it's a lovely ball for Beard to sign off his spell with. He finishes with figures, no wickets, but 30 runs of 4 overs. These two spinners have combined for 8 overs, only 51 off them, and 2 wickets. That really has slowed things down for Middlesex. We're going to have to ramp back up the pace now.
Yeah, that's right. They've, after a power play where Middlesex was certainly in front in the game, if you like, that's how you're assessing it. Now Sussex have put themselves into a fantastic position on the back of the fact that this is a really good batting track. It's a fast batting track, and the spinners have been able to provide a bit of pause. And of course Middlesex will have 2 wrist spinners in operation later on. Of course Nathan Souter, the experienced man, and Luke Holman, the teenager, on debut. But now we're going to actually see a 7th bowler introduced, and it's going to be Ravi Bopara. So another seamer, a man with a fabulous record in T20 cricket over a really long period of time. He's taken 234 wickets at an average of 25, going at just 7.5 and over. So he does know how to bowl at the death, one of the best in the business.
Yes, a man of many talents, Ravi Bopara.
Better believe it.
Here he is to Eskenazi, right arm over, and this is pulled nicely into the onside for a single.
We received some feedback last week as that ball goes out towards the Compton stand on Saturday, rather, that it confused people that the new grandstands on the nursery end of the ground, or at the nursery end of the ground, aren't symmetrical. The Edrich stand is about a bay and a half smaller than the Compton stand before it joins up at the grandstand where that new scoreboard is.
Well, I'm assuming there's a very good reason for it, and it's certainly deliberate, but it is slightly odd.
Looks great though.
Here comes Bopara, and Simpson guiding this just in front of point, tumbling to his left, Robinson. And his misfield means that they can come back for 2. Didn't really get down in time, Robinson. Left the fielding for Delray Rawlins there at cover point on the boundary. 112 for 3.
Yeah, Ravi running his fingers down the seam, trying to adopt a similar approach to what the spinners used when they were bowling in tandem, taking pace off the ball.
Bopara to Simpson. Plug butt down the ground. Ouch! Oh, that's thrashed him on the inside sole of his trainers.
He's lucky there, isn't he? If that's another couple of inches higher and it hits him on the ball of the ankle, that's going to sting. He was fortunate that it was a boot instead. Also saves what certainly would have been 1 run, possibly 4. It was that straight.
Yeah, we heard that one. Simpson plays it off his hips. Just the single. Beautiful evening here as the sun's just disappearing over the sort of top tiers of the stands now. The floodlights are on. Nice and calm. No wind.
Yeah, it's a perfect summer evening, isn't it? Late summer evening. Would be great if we had fans in the ground, but just a joy to be back at Lord's for this competition.
Bopara. Full. Pushed into the offside by Eskenazi, brings him to 60. 114 for 3. Simpson waits forward in his stance. He's thrashed that over the top of the bowler, over the top of long on, into the black side screen. Lovely looking shot. Really solid at the crease there, held firm. Good work out of the core muscles that. 32 he moves to.
What do they call that? Range hitting. Simpson, it was almost like a baseball slap over centre field, if you like, and crashing into the sight screen. Made a lovely thud. We're a long way from that at this end of the ground, but great contact on the ball. Got the desired result. Simpson 32 from 18. He's now the man making the running for Middlesex as far as lifting the run rate's concerned. They're going at 8 and over as we enter the last 5. We know it. Well, it'll almost certainly be seen, given they're the bowlers who have overs at their disposal, but we're yet to quite see who's going to take up the attack now that Beers bowled out his 4 from this pavilion end. It'll be Weiser, who bowled 1 over in the power play, had 11 runs taken from it. Of course, I mentioned before, he's got 175 wickets. He's 35 years of age. He knows exactly what he's doing in the final stretch. 3 out on the leg side, bowling here to Eskenazi, who's on 60, but that's going over the fence and into the mound stand, just about. Bounces back. Again, we saw that back pad almost kiss the turf as contact was made. Sweet contact. A premeditated stroke in between the two sweepers. There is a cow corner and a deep square leg, but Eskenazi bisected them. He's 66 from 41 balls, 126 for 3. Just got their mojo back a little bit in the last couple of overs, Middlesex.
He's hit it so hard that the umpires haven't to have a look at the ball. So we saw it ricochet back in from the seats in that mound stand.
Nice strike of the cricket ball. Nearly up towards Father Time and Co. Weiser bowls and deflecting to short third is Eskenazi. So nicely timed, well positioned to make sure that Simpson would have enough time to get through for a quick single. 1, 2, 7 for 3. So looking at the field for Simpson, I wonder whether his strike down the ground will prompt a change when he's on strike on this occasion. Well, they're going to stay with a long off and a long on. I thought maybe they might bring long on a little bit straighter, but he's down there in front of the players' balcony. Weiser bowls and Simpson waits on it. On the back foot, straight to point. Eskenazi takes the single to direct hit, but he made the call nice and early, committed to the single and was back comfortably. More good running from Eskenazi, getting himself back on strike. Simpson's 33.
Sorry to say that. Haider Ali is out for Pakistan.
Oh,
Bowled by Jordan for 54.
that's no fun.
But Mohammad Hafiz has brought up his 50. 51 off 33. So Pakistan currently 132 for 3 over in Manchester.
I'll tell you what, they've earned a win after being here for 9 weeks. Weiser bowls and Eskenazi again. That sweep through the onside, premeditated off seam. Plays it so nicely. Happy with the single this time to the sweeper at square leg. He's 68. To think some of those players who've been on the tour for 9 weeks, have played a couple of practice matches. And
Well, yeah, Haider Ali's been on the tour for 9 weeks.
It's incredible.
He's got his first match.
Weiser bowls to Simpson, who thrashes over backward point off the front foot, doesn't get all of it, but it's running away into that deep corner of the ground. They come back for 2. And 2 is all they'll get. He's 35. 1-3-1 for 3. Got 1 ball to come in this, the 16th over. Adam Collins, Isabel Westbury with you on the call.
You know, talking in the Red Bull Bob Willis Trophy about how county cricketers don't seem to have any problem with getting through their overs.
Yes.
Well, England started 15 minutes before our match.
Weiser bowls Simpson down towards long on. There's a single there. 1-3-2 for 3.
And they've just finished the 15th over. And we've just finished the 16th over.
I rest my case, Izzy.
Unbelievable,
I rest
really.
my case. 16 gone, 1-3-2 for 3. As in the past, if you don't get through your overs by a prescribed time, you are penalised accordingly. We nearly saw Stephen Finn in that situation on Saturday evening, where Middlesex may have been just a second or two past the cut-off, but on account of the fact that a number of balls went into the grandstand, they were shown a degree of leniency. So in a way, Daniel Bell-Drummond, the Kent captain, you could look at it counterintuitively. So many balls into the stand that Middlesex were given some grace on their overrate.
I felt a little bit sorry for them at that point because they were all running around back to their marks, and you just thought, well, if you just keep having to fetch the ball from the stand,
yes,
there's not much you can really do about this.
So we've had our final COVID stop of the Middlesex batting innings. We've got 4 overs to go. The sun's completely removed from the ground now. We see a little bit of it left on top of the Edrich stand, at the very back of the mound stand as well, up towards Father Time. But other than that, the shadow is completely across Lords.
Oh,
Those floodlights on.
The top floors of the penthouse of the flats behind Old Father Time. You've got the evening sun. You've got
Yeah, what a place to live that would be.
free match at Lords. Nobody else is there. Bang.
I had the good fortune of living in a flat. I'm not sure if you ever came to my flat in Melbourne, Isabel, which had which could view the MCG. Not quite into the MCG like those apartments over there, of course.
Yes.
That's a bit different, but it's part of the charm, that's for sure. So it's Mal Mills. He has 2 overs to go. Presumably he'll bowl 17 and 19 from the nursery end. 2 overs, 1 for 16. He picked up Max Holden. That extra pace caught down at third man after bowling a rapid bumper of the ball that came before it. On the way here to Simpson. Way down the leg side. Nicely taken there by Phil Salt, who's got the gloves on tonight. 1-3-3 for 3. Middlesex going at 8.3 runs and over so far, but I'd still think that 180, if they get on a roll, would be within their grasp, especially if this pair are there at the end. Of course, a big hitting finisher next in. Mills bowls. Oh, that's quick. Simpson laid on it. That sounded a bit fleshy to me as well.
Yeah, that's going to hurt.
On the back pad. So a leg by is signalled. Simpson is off strike. Back to Eskenazi. Yes, we have Dan Lincoln coming in next, who we saw with his 24 not out off 9 balls at the end of the innings against Kent. Does know what he's doing to come in and find the boundary immediately. Might get to see a little bit of him as we work our way to the finish line of this Middlesex innings. So men out at deep mid wicket, long on, point, or deep point rather, third man. Deep square leg as well. Eskenazi goes over the top of mid-off though, strikes it really well. Will he clear the rope? Yes, he will.
That's just exquisite timing, really, to think how fast Tamamos is bowling and to be able to plug it back over his head with such timing.
Especially when we saw the delivery before, that far quicker ball at Simpson, deflecting off his back thigh pad. But as we've seen Eskenazi do a number of times tonight, making room, giving himself a chance to swing through the offside, and with mid-off inside the circle, that's a safe area of the ground to target. He moves to 74. Makes room again, steers through backward point. Oh, he times that beautifully as well. That's 4 more. Just outstanding batting from the Middlesex opener. He moves to 78. It's 144 for 3, but after the previous delivery, making room and going over long off Isabel. This time, waited on it, picked the gap, struck it just as well, and the result is 10 off 2 balls.
Just what Middlesex require at this time after that sort of the tightening of things by the spinners for Sussex during those middle overs. They needed to start accelerating, and that's exactly what the skipper's doing here.
Yeah, they've really picked it up, haven't they, since this pair came together. Mills makes room again, swing and a miss. That's the shorter ball, the effort ball. You can probably tell by the grunt, which I'm sure is audible through the stream. And Eskenazi tried to steer it down towards third man, maybe over the top of the keeper Salt, but didn't make contact. This pair coming together when the score was on 75 from the first ball of the 11th over. So they've taken it to 144. Mills to complete his over. Bowls here, Eskenazi off the back foot, carving down towards point, gets a single. Actually, there's one additional ball to come in the over, which will be faced by Simpson. I wonder whether Eskenazi... I actually said the other night that around this stage of the innings, I think Eskenazi's got enough time to get to 100. And of course he was out for 84 a couple of minutes later. But 21 runs away from that milestone. There's still 3.1 overs remaining in this innings. Eskenazi, of course, made his highest score in T20 cricket on Saturday, finishing with 84. We'll see if he can better it in consecutive innings. It's Simpson on strike now, though. 3 out on the leg side, a third man and a deep cover on the offside. Makes room, tries to go through the offside, but doesn't make contact. The ball stops on the crease line. Mills running in, tries to kick it into the stumps unsuccessfully. End of the 17th. That's 145 for 3.
He'd have been a terrible penalty taker to Mal Mills. Nowhere near the accuracy there to tap it into the stumps. Yes, Eskenazi 84-24 so far in this tournament, and now unbeaten on 79. Is 84 the other evening, coming off 52 deliveries, is 24 off 11. So a very healthy strike rate as well.
Yeah, they're a beautiful set of numbers, aren't they? In terms of starting this campaign. Didn't have as many opportunities last year as he may have liked. Of course, a more accomplished and established Middlesex top order last year, 4 of the 5 of which aren't playing at the moment for various reasons. But Eskenazi played 11 games and made 256 runs. He's not on strike here. It's Simpson facing Robinson. Down the ground, out towards long off. Will they take Rawlins on? They will. They're through comfortably for a couple. So Eskenazi last year, he passed 50 a couple of times, averaged 32. So a good campaign on the whole, but this is different level, isn't it? He's really started off in a way that puts him at the very top tier of this competition. So a change in field. The deep point moves around to deep extra cover. Robinson's also got a long off, a long on, a deep mid-wicket and a deep backwards square on the way around the wicket to Simpson. Playing a miss. Nice and full and working around the wicket and able just to get a little bit of movement after landing it near that tram track. That's good death bowling. Excellent death bowling.
Yeah, Simpson 12 not out against Kent and just 2 against Essex in that first match of the season. Making good headway here.
Robinson 3 on the circle on the offside. Not in use here though. Simpson goes big into the pavilion. The second time he's gone over the head of the bowler. Once at the nursery end into the sight screen. This time into the Lord's Pavilion. Bringing up the Middlesex 150. 150 for 3. Halfway through the 18th over. And Simpson has moved on to 45 from just 26 balls. Played a very important hand here.
That's just tremendous timing. He's not a tall man, he's not a especially big man, Simpson. But when he gets hold of it, my goodness.
Yeah, taking full advantage of this opportunity, Simpson. Coming in at 5 with half an innings to go, and he really has put the foot down. Will he get Robinson away again? Here he won't. That's a fantastic bounce back ball from around the wicket, spearing in at leg stump, not far away at all. In the end, the best that Simpson could have hoped for was a little inside edge or maybe a little nutmeg even, but instead it went through to the gloves of Salt.
Yeah, right at his toes.
That's where you want to see that nutmeg, or the natmeg as we were calling it in the 2017 Women's World Cup. Nat Siver and Steve Smith both play that shot with regularity. Oh, this time Robinson's a bit quicker at Simpson, who doesn't make contact, spitting off his pad, loud thud out to cover, a leg by. So 155 for 3. We've got 1 ball to come in this, the 18th over, so 13 to come in the innings.
Nat Siver became the first centurion of the Rachel Hayhoe Flint Trophy earlier this week. 50 over women's competition. We almost had a Middlesex centurion, Amara Carr, falling agonisingly short for the Sunrise. She fell on 99 in their second loss, but real effort from her.
Robinson to finish the over, and Eskenazi's bowled, moving across his stumps, trying to take on the man at short fine leg, but Robinson gets himself into the book. Eskenazi missed, the fast bowler hit, the 4th wicket falling at the end of the 18th over with the score on 155, but Stevie Eskenazi, following his 84 on Saturday with 79 off 47 deliveries today, Isabel Westbury, he has been the backbone of this Middlesex side.
Yeah, another stellar knock, and really set up Middlesex nicely. Got a couple of overs left. We saw how well Dan Lincoln struck the ball as well. And it's just, I wonder if these two can just release the fireworks for the last couple of overs, bring them up to a good score on what is it seems to be a fast but good batting track. We saw the totals that we saw above 200 from both sides in that Kent match. So by all means not done, but certainly a captain's knock to his name.
Yeah, receiving generous applause from his colleagues beneath us here in the pavilion. As Dan Lincoln walks in, a man we enjoyed the work of on Saturday with his unbeaten 24 in 9 balls at the death. He'll get a chance again here with 2 overs to go. Mills to bowl the first of those. Here to Simpson on 45. Oh, was going to try, I think. It looks like he was going to try and use the pace and deflect over backward point. In the end, it came to him so slowly. Fantastic change up there from Mills that he had to just wait on it and just bumped it into the offside.
Yeah, padded it back to him, really.
Yes.
It looks almost terrible, doesn't it? It's like, oh, come on, why didn't you hit that? But it's the change-ups, it's the surprise, along with the sheer pace of the other deliveries.
So Mills has got
Mills
deep
can deliver.
square, or deep backward square, I should say. Deep mid-wicket, long on rather. Deep cover, a third man. He bowls here. This time Simpson's able to use the pace to third man, what he was trying to do the ball before. Just for one, though. He's 46. So we saw Lincoln hit the ball as high as he did long.
Yes.
In that performance the other day. He's got an interesting history on the way through to the professional game, of course.
Yeah.
Professional footballer as well.
So the pitch itself must have been, what, 3 or 4 strips
Two
down?
over. Yeah,
2 over.
2 over from where they are.
So it felt as though it was a much smaller, not much, but it was a smaller square leg boundary on that
Yes.
side. If you're bowling from the pavilion end. And a few of those you think might, in this guy's, just pop into someone's hands.
So Mills around the wicket. Lincoln's first ball just stopped on him. So for the second time in this over, Mills has been able to deny a big swing from a change-up delivery. Lincoln's off the mark. Lovely looking purple sky to our right.
Oh, yeah.
It's going to be a lovely sunset as the evening moves on into the second half of this game. Deathly silent at Lord's tonight, of course. No fans in the ground as Mills arrives at the crease. Oh, lovely shot from Simpson, but it's going to go straight towards the fielder, and it's landed with him. Off the bat, I thought he struck it well enough to clear deep mid-wicket, but not to be. Simpson's gone for 46. Middlesex lose their 5th wicket with the score on 157, but it was an important innings from Simpson coming in when he did at the start of the 11th over when the spinners were taking hold. He made sure that Middlesex will have a decent score to bowl to in about half an hour.
Yeah, just core strength and timing from James Simpson. Patting back bowlers that are up there around the 90-mile-an-hour mark, over their heads, standing in his crease, standing and delivering. It was a really lovely innings that really bolstered that partnership between him and Eskenazi after a tricky time in those middle overs, and it means that Middlesex are going to be posting a very competitive score indeed.
Wickets in consecutive overs for Sussex, which helped them just bring the run rate back a little bit. 2 new men in the middle. Lincoln on strike to Mills. Tries to give himself space outside the leg stump, but in the end, he's deflecting to backward point. Well disguised slow ball that from Mills with a big grunt.
Well, we've seen that sort of 3 times in the last couple of overs from Mills, where I guess someone like Lincoln, who's new to the T20 blast or newish, just thinks Mills pace. So you're already setting yourself up for something hurtling down at you at 90 miles odd an hour, and suddenly when it takes you by surprise and doesn't, can you adapt quickly enough?
So Holman's been sent out at number 7 on debut. Left-hander. Sets up tall in the crease to face Mills. Pushing a backward point. He'll keep the strike for the final over. That's a fabulous over from Tamal Mills. Picking up the wicket of Simpson. 3 high-quality slow balls in there as well. They just could not get him away. Picked up 2 for 33 from his 4 overs, and Ollie Robinson will finish us off from the pavilion end. But yes, the young man Holman, given the chance to walk in at number 7, just 19 years of age. He was in the England under-19 setup last year. He's of course been with Middlesex since he was a kid, since he was a 9-year-old. So he's waiting for this opportunity, and he gets it this evening, promoted ahead of James Harris.
A licence perhaps, but he's having to face both Mills and then Robinson. It's not an easy easing into proceedings.
No, it's a fairly abrupt start, isn't it? Face an international and a man who will probably be an international in the coming months. So Robinson, the latter of those two, bowling around the wicket to start the 20th over. Holman, a fat outside edge, bounces once before arriving at short third man. They take a single. Is that Ravi on the circle there, is it? I can't quite pick it up from our angle here, but Mills doing the work there after bowling his last over. He just hobbled for a couple of steps as though he might have turned on an ankle or something, but he's fine again here. Robinson bowling, full, beating the leg stump, a shot from the keeper, Salt, underarming when Lincoln was called through for a bye by Holman. So 1 run added to the Sundaries, but no bat on ball. Again, we talked about the death bowling so far, what we've seen in the last 5 overs since I've taken over, Isabel. It's been of the highest quality.
Yeah, it really has. And pair that with the spinners in the middle, it's been a really good showing by Middlesex to be able to combat that, actually.
So Robinson to Holman. Again, no bat on ball. Gets that angle right, follows him, deflects off the pad, spits out towards backward point. No bat on ball, so they take a leg by, but that's the angle that Robinson wanted there. Perhaps saw him coming.
Yeah, his figures will play out really nicely here, Robinson, because both the last 2 balls will show up as dots on his scorecard.
Yes,
a bye and then a leg bye.
Doesn't hurt. So 3 balls to go. 2 out on the offside, 3 on the leg side, all in front of square. Robinson bowls, again striking the pad of Lincoln this time. To Mills on the circle at the 45. Another leg bye. So in this final over, Robinson is doing the job his captain is asking of him, to come out and make sure that they don't get the chance to pop him into the stands. Make sure they walk off at the break with wind in their sails, knowing they've kept Middlesex to a very chaseable target. Robinson goes again. Holman tries to get resourceful. He was looking at a scoop of sorts there, but didn't get down long enough. That's the 4th ball of the 20th over, Isabel, where bat has not hit ball. We've seen bye, leg bye, leg bye, leg bye. Most unorthodox way of advancing the score towards the death.
Yeah, and it's almost too big an ask for these 2 young batters at the crease. You've got Robinson with the ball just bowling, very quickly, but also tailing away from the right-hander. So it's following you almost wherever you go on the crease.
Last ball of the Middlesex innings, and there is bat to finish, albeit only to the gloves of Salt, who races around and ensures that Lincoln only gets a single. That means Sussex will be chasing 166 for victory. Lincoln not out 3, Holman not out 2. Robinson finishes with 1 for 30. The other death bowler, Mills, took 2 for 33. And when you consider, Izzy, where Middlesex were 4 or 5 overs ago, they've left some runs on the field there.
They have, but equally, I mean, that final over, they did manage to run every single delivery, even if they were sort of buys, leg buys, whatever. I
nice
think
positive spin there.
It was. I think it was just quite a big ask with these 2 very young batters at the crease. You've got Tamal Mills, and then you've got Ollie Robinson as well, bowling balls that just seem. It's horrible as a batter when you just feel it's a little bit too fast, and the ball just seems to be following you around wherever you go in the crease. It's not a bad total at all. I think Sussex will probably walk off the pitch with their the momentum perhaps on their shoulders, but equally wonderful innings from Stevie Eskenazi. Brilliant partnership alongside James Simpson, or John Simpson even. And I think Middlesex will be happy with that all in all. If you sort of take that out of the situation and take away the fact that they didn't score a boundary in that last over, I think it's a very competitive total. Yeah,
we're going to look at those overs bowled by the spinners, aren't we? So when Briggs and Beer were brought into the attack, bowler number 5 and 6 as far as the card reads at the end of that power play, they bowled 8 overs unchanged. The left arm tweak of Briggs and the right arm leg spin of Beer. 8 overs, 2 for 51, and that did put a halt on proceedings after Eskenazi did get Middlesex off to a flyer.
Yeah, absolutely. It was 8 overs. 50. It's amazing, really. Those 2 balls when they came in, and Middlesex started off to a nice little run, little start with Eskenazi there. He brought us 50 in what seemed like no time, and then to bowl those two spinners, also to bowl them through as well, was a really good move from Luke Wright, the skipper. Just thought, right, we're on to a good one here. They're getting wickets, they're not getting runs. I think when Gubbins came in, he really struggled to get off the mark even. It took him 6 or 7 balls to do so, and even when that happened, the runs weren't flowing. So, yeah, I think it's been a really good contest out in the middle between some high-class bowling and some very good batting as well.
Yeah, Holden was the first man to fall when the score was 27. He made 6 before he was caught at third man from the bowling of Tamal Mills. Anderson was the second man out. He was bowled by Briggs in his first over for 14 off 13 balls. The third wicket fell when Middlesex were on 75. That was Nick Gubbins, who was caught by Weiser from the bowling of Briggs for 7. And that brought together Simpson along with Eskenazi, the aforementioned Eskenazi. They took the score from 75 from the first ball of the 11th over, Isabel, through to 155 at the end of the 18th over. So you look at the scoreboard here now and we see that they only made 10 runs after that partnership was broken, Eskenazi falling and Simpson shortly thereafter, both in the at the end of the 18th over and halfway through the 19th over respectively. So they were on track, as I say, to get somewhere towards 180 after that fantastic stand between Eskenazi and Simpson. They just couldn't stick the landing.
Yeah, and to think that in that match against Kent, I mean, both teams surpassed the 200. If you want to try and compare it to that, similarly, it's a fast pitch. It looks it's good to bat on, and I wonder if Middlesex will have that at the back of their mind. Sussex, of course, at the moment, or at least coming into today, they were top of the table with 1 washout and then a win. Middlesex 2 single pointers from their 2 matches. Sussex have the advantage of having seen the wicket play as it has. We've seen Luke Wright, he's been in tremendous form as well, and that's somebody that Middlesex will think he's a key wicket very, very early on. But I wouldn't want to call it either way at the moment.
Mills 2 for 33, Briggs 2 for 21, and Robinson 1 for 30. He was outstanding, the 3 wicket takers for Sussex. Of course, we are at Lord's tonight, which is an absolute joy. Unfortunately, we don't have our fans here with us playing behind closed doors throughout the course of the T20 Vitality Blast competition, but the players have a message for the fans at home. They are most valued.
The moment is drawing near where we will once again be able to represent you, to play for you, renewing old rivalries and creating new ones.
Inspiring a new generation and remembering the past, while never forgetting our heroes who have sacrificed so much to bring us back together.
The walk to the ground, the meeting up with old friends and the making of new, the fireworks lighting up the Thursday night sky. We all have to wait for now.
But we know that until you are back in the stands, you are with us, in the changing rooms, in the slips, in the dugout, down at the other end.
Thank you to all the essential workers that have kept us safe, the fans from Middlesex and abroad who have kept us motivated, the club sponsors for their unwavering commitment, and to our members for their patience and support, the lifeblood of Middlesex cricket.
It will certainly not be the same until you return. We hope you join us for every match.
Every ball, every wicket, every 4 and 6, delivered to you with our new enhanced broadcast live.
Middlesex cricket is back at the crease and we cannot wait to welcome you back.
In front of us here at Lord's from the pavilion end, we're watching the Middlesex Seamers get ready to defend 165, starting off with the new ball. I expect we'll see Tom Helm. Of course, we will see the captain, Stephen Finn Izzy, who we didn't see as yet through the Bob Willis Trophy, but the skipper of this T20 side, and he was very important in that tie against Kent as things were slipping away, both with his captaincy and then ultimately with the ball. He played a most important role.
Yeah, ended up with 2 wickets for 34 runs off his 4 overs. And yes, as you said, there were a few fours that were slapped back over his head, but he kept on coming, and that was really emblematic of the Middlesex bowling innings. It's just when we thought it was running away from them, they came back with the ball in hand. Finn, Helm, cameo from Gubbins even, and they held firm.
We mentioned there was one change to the Middlesex lineup this evening, and that was with the ball. So Miguel Cummins won't be playing, and indeed won't be bowling tonight. Instead, we're going to see the spin of Luke Holman. So tandem leg spinners, which should suit them well, given what we've seen from this track so far, with pace off the ball from the spin twins at Sussex, followed by even that over from Bapara with fingers down the seam. Having two slow frontline options there for the captain Finn should come in handy.
Oh, absolutely. Souter and Holman, I mean, they know each other very well. It was Souter who gave Holman his cap in the presentation before the match began. And then don't forget either, we saw that one over off spin from Nick Gubbins, just 8 runs off it when he played against Kent in that match. That was really crucial as well to break up the rhythm of the Kent innings just as they were raring to go. So I think, yes, that certainly is something that Middlesex will be looking forward to use.
We've had 2 Middlesex batters recognised as the Knight Frank player of the match. In round 1, it was Max Holden. Round 2, it was Stevie Eskenazi. I wonder whether it will be a Middlesex bowler in round 3. If they win this game and defend 165, I'm fairly certain it will be. So the Knight Frank player of the match, it's fairly straightforward. Send us a tweet to Middlesex_CCC with the hashtag you can see on screen, Knight Frank POTM, or drop us a comment in the Facebook page, comments of any of the different threads we've got going this evening with your player of the match. Don't nominate it now. Wait until we get towards the finish line. We'll pop a tweet out a little bit later. Lucy and the social media team will let you know when the time is to start voting. Hashtag it KnightFrankPOTM. Of course, Knight Frank, who've been fantastic supporters of what we're doing on the live stream, both at Radlett and here at Lords. And you can win yourself an opportunity to come to Lords next year for the Vitality Blast, Izzy.
Yeah, absolutely. I think of all the the giveaways over the Bob Willis Trophy and here as well at the Blast. It's set to be a cracking 2021 season when sport and fans do return in full. It does seem to be it's a very odd feeling sitting here at Lords without fans. I think it would be an odd feeling for a lot of the players out there as well, who certainly on a weekday night at the home of cricket under the floodlights, they'd be more accustomed to the cheers and the boos perhaps of a hearty crowd here at Lords. But we are seeing some construction in front of us as well, so it does, I think when Lords has finished all that, which I think is due for early next year, then I think it will be absolutely booming.
Oh, I'll tell you what, there'll be no other place you want to be next year on a Thursday night than Lords for a Vitality Blast game. So win your opportunity via that competition at Knight Frank POTM. Right, so Stephen Finn has led his charges out to the field. He won't be bowling the first over. That will go to Tom Helm, who had a most interesting night with the ball, or afternoon I should say, with the ball on Saturday. He bowled a number of wides, indeed a no ball in there as well, but he was the man trusted to bowl the 20th over and somehow got the home side out of jail.
Yeah, he did. I mean, it was one of those where I think social media was alight with sort of, get rid of Helm, what's he doing, how on earth are you bowling him in the death over, and then he really brought it back and manufactured that tie in a match that Kent would have been very, very disappointed not to have won, but some really classy death bowling by Tom Helm et al.
Well, Isabel, Helm's got the ball, pavilion end. Why don't you do the honours and try and get us a couple of early wickets?
Well, it looks as though it'll be Phil Salt on strike, and this is an attempted turn into the onside, and it's a wide to start things off. We saw a few of those in that Kent match, and not particularly the way that Helm want to begin proceedings. He bowled, 7 wides all in all, and 1 no ball, Tom Helm.
He took his chance, didn't he? My sense was that the reason why Gubbins bowled that over in the death was to give Finn the flexibility, perhaps not to bowl Helm his last over. But in the end, there were so few runs to play with overs 19 and 20 to come, that he almost had to bowl Harris at that stage.
Here he is again, right arm over, and this is again down the leg side, but a bit of bat handle on that, and it means our leg buys even, so a single to the total.
Which meant in that instance it was Helm defending 5 runs from the last over, looking like the man least likely, but he goes and uproots leg stump, prompts 3 swings and misses, a frenetic final ball where John Simpson had the chance to win the game, to throw the stumps down from the wicketkeeper position, which would have been a remarkable come from behind victory in the circumstances, but it was Helm who held his nerves, my point.
Yeah, and brave of Finn as well to throw in the ball in that final over. It's got a towel protruding from his trousers at the moment. Bit of dew out there on the outfield. Here he comes, and this is guided backward a point, but there's a fielder there. Takes it on the bounce.
Well, that's his length, isn't it, with Helm? It's that extra A little bit of bounce he can get. It's why he's in those England squads. Why he was in the bubble, isn't it? That he comes from a height. He can get the ball to move round off the seam. And it doesn't matter whether the ball's red or white. When you're bowling the first over, that will certainly be a factor.
Here he is again, Luke Wright on strike. This is past the outside edge. That's got some wheels on it. That's a really good bit of bowling there from Tom Helm.
I like the little nod there from Luke Wright to Helm in his follow-through as if to say, yep, good bit of bowling, no concerns. Right, and of course, with so much experience, he's entitled to take such liberties.
Yeah, he knows it when he sees it, 100%. Here's Helm again, top of his mark. Floodlights creating 4 different shadows underneath him. This is down the leg side. This is too straight, too short, and right there, just off his hips, helps it round the corner. 4 runs to get the Sussex skipper off the mark.
Yeah, no way a player of Wright's experience is going to miss out there. A ball that's misdirected on his hip with the man inside the circle there at short fine. That was help yourself stuff as far as a man of his experience is concerned. Of course, he was the match winner against Hampshire with 82 off 55 balls at the top. He's been around for such a long time, of course, a member of that World Cup winning team in 2010 for England too.
Right, very loud taps to the bat. And this is hit straight to Stephen Finn at mid-on, and he's held on tightly to that as he falls away onto his back. And that is a huge wicket and a very, I don't know what to say, it's sort of a limp wicket from the Sussex captain there, right, just sort of caught in between 2 minds, wasn't sure he was going over the top or he was defending it. And in the end, that's a brilliant breakthrough for Middlesex, well clung onto by Finn. And Middlesex have their first wicket. It's the Sussex captain, Luke Wright, he departs for 4.
Helm just has a knack of getting these wickets, doesn't he? You could see that Wright was going to try and loft over the top of Finn at mid-on, but just didn't get the right angle on the ball. Might have held up in the track just a little bit, judging by the way that he cued it off the bottom end of the bat. But again, a safe chance from Finn, a crucial take from Finn on the circle. We saw that Middlesex's fielding was quite outstanding on Saturday. It's what kept them in the game when they were falling well behind after that power play. But 4 great outfield catches on that occasion, but 1 caught inside the circle in the first over here, and it's the danger man, Luke Wright. He's gone.
He's like that character in Lord of the Rings, cradling the ring, my precious or something, Gollum and my precious. He really did sort of covet the ball as it came to him. He wasn't letting go. And yes, that's a significant wicket for Middlesex, considering Luke Wright's form in this competition so far. 82 in the previous match, 31 in the first, which ended up in a washout. 51 T20 internationals under his belt, and he has gone. That means that Harry Finch, the 25-year-old, is making his way to the crease. Just 10 and 5 in his last 2 outings. So yet to get going in this year's Blast.
Yeah, man, his work we enjoyed at Radlett a couple of weeks ago. He top scored for Sussex in their first innings and batted for a long period of time and looked quite settled at the crease, but different form of the game, and having not really cashed in as yet, walking in the first over. Got a big job to do here.
Final ball of that first over as Helm is in and wrapped on the pads, high on the thigh pad in fact. And it's a dot ball nevertheless for Helm, so he ends that over, the opening over of Sussex's innings. 6 for 1. 2 batters yet to get off the mark at the crease, and that's encouraging for the home side.
Good wheels there to finish. So before Wright falls, he's beaten on the outside edge from a ball that sort of took off, didn't it? Off the seam, beating the outside edge, and then to finish there, an extra yard from a ball that went the other way and came back towards Finch. So encouraging signs for Helm. 1 for 5 from his first over, which includes a leg side wide as well, so only 4 runs off the bat, which will mean that he'll drop down and just standing there at short third man, knowing that a quarter of the job is done for him, and he has the chance tonight to really assert himself as the attack leader as well in the absence of Miguel Cummins.
Here's Finn then from the pavilion end, brought into the attack straight away, and this is launched into the onside. And well, that's a welcome to the attack. That's 6 runs over square leg. Hello, Phil Salt.
Oh, have a bit of that. He's picked that up from Finn, from middle and leg stump, and hit it. Well, it's the biggest strike of the ball we've seen today. That's the long boundary still. That's gone 20 rows back into the grandstand. It's going to require a search party. Two Middlesex fielders are climbing in and out of the seats and down the rows trying to find the ball. But, well, of course, we all know how well Phil Salt can strike the ball, whether it's red or white, and we know how highly he's thought of. But what a way to start. Just his second ball that he's faced, his first scoring shot, and he struck it about 100 metres.
He just picked it off a length absolutely beautifully. And we didn't see Finn in the previous match until the 7th over, I think. As he's in once more, right arm over. And Salt turns this onto the onside. I wonder if they're going to try and run 2 here. As the fielders converge from the boundary edge, and they do well to stop Phil Salt coming back. He wanted it, but has to settle for the single, 12 for 1.
Yeah, Salt's sort of part of that next generation of young ball strikers who have the chance to have an international career if they can dominate at this level. Of course, he's a Lions player. He's been inside that England bubble at various times through this strange 2020. He's played in the Caribbean Premier League, the Pakistan Super League, the Big Bash League. So at age 24, this should be the time when he starts trying to dominate games and really put his name in lights.
Harry Finch on strike. Finn to Finch, and this is full, wrapped him on the pads, and there's an appeal for LBW. It was a sole appeal, really. Simpson did come up behind the stumps after a little while, but it looked as though it was angling down leg. Full nevertheless. They come through for a leg by, 14 for 1.
Yeah, it was just sliding, wasn't it? But a good enthusiastic appeal from Steve Finn. As you mentioned before, he picked up 2 really important middle overs wickets on Saturday.
Here he is, and it's picked off a length again by Salt, but this time it's found the fielder's hands. Out there, deep mid-wicket, didn't get hold of it fully, and while we saw one cascade into the stands for 6, just a couple of deliveries beforehand, Finn has got his first wicket, and it's another big one. It's Phil Salt, he's gone for 7, and it means Middlesex now have Sussex 14 for 2.
Well, Wright and Salt back in the shed inside the first 2 overs. 2 important catches, just making sure that they make everything count here, Middlesex, early on. And you can tell from the response of not only Finn but the entire team how much that meant to them, getting themselves right on top inside the power play with Sussex's 2 biggest hitters back in the hutch, with Wright gone for 4 and now Salt for 7. I mean, that is just clutch, isn't it, as far as making sure that they've given themselves every opportunity to defend what is a modest total.
Yeah, they may have got going pretty quickly, Sussex, but the wickets are falling just as quickly as Delray Rawlins makes his way to the crease. You've got 2 batters in. They've really yet to make their mark on this tournament. Delray Rawlins having made 8 and 7 in his 2 previous outings in the T20 Blast. But it's Finch on strike. There's Finn. And again, just plays it into the onside, coming for a quick single.
It was Dan Lincoln with the safe chance there at deep mid-wicket as well, I should note. Running in off the boundary about hip height. You often don't know to go fingers up or fingers down in that situation, but held his nerve, took it in the breadbasket, and that was that. 15 for 2 after 2 overs. But forget about the runs column. It's the 2 men they've taken out already in the space of the first 2 overs.
Final delivery then of this second over. Finn coming over the wicket to the left-handed batter, and this is driven down the ground beautifully by Rawlins. 4 runs straight away off the mark, slightly over-pitched there by the Middlesex skipper. And that was a lovely looking shot, a sort of a 4-day shot, lovely stroke down the ground, 19 for 2.
Yeah, we saw him strike 6 straight boundaries in a row, didn't we, in the second innings at Radlett a couple of weeks ago. Delray Rawlins, who of course is another player that's being looked at for higher honours. Of course, does play international cricket at the moment. Has played 11 T20 internationals for Bermuda, but has been part of the England under-19 setup. Had that opportunity a couple of years ago when he was still of age, made a couple of hundreds against India, so they'll be watching closely, the selectors, whenever he walks out to bat.
Helm will continue from the pavilion end. Thick outside edge, runs away down to third man. There's well to stop it, in fact, because it really was picking up some pace there. 20 for 2.
Yeah, Helm's bowling with an extra yard tonight, isn't he? You can already tell.
I just wonder that bowling that last over,
Yeah.
taking that tie, brought them a bit of confidence.
You can often turn on a dime, can't it, with fast bowlers and confidence. And you can we saw his confidence sapped when bowling early on Saturday, but that, taking out that leg stump seemed to change everything, and it's translated through to today as well.
Rawlins now on strike. Left-handed batter guides it only so far as the third man fielder. Yeah, it's one of those that Kent so easily could have scampered a single, won the match, and then his figures would have been pretty awful, Helm. They were. You look at them on paper right now, then they're not great figures at all. But he was so pivotal in restricting them in that final over.
3 dot balls after the wicket. From nowhere, really, too, wasn't it? Right on top here. Rawlins is the next big wicket, isn't it?
Helm to Rawlins, bounces him, toe edge of the bat, low run.
Well, I like the look of that. Rawlins just shaping up and saying, no matter where you bowl it, I'm going to try and smack you. It's fun. So we saw him play some absolutely delightful shots down the ground in the 4-day fixture between these two teams. But walking in at number 4 today, his job is to bat for the majority of this chase.
Helm to Rawlins again, beats the outside edge. Beautiful delivery. Lovely shape into the left-hander.
He's played down the wrong line. Not a lot of footwork to speak of. His foot was down the leg stump line, but that ball passed his edge comfortably in the end. So Helm taking advantage of the slope to an extent as well with the new ball, able to just hit the seam and steer it away from the left-hander.
Helm again. Wide of off stump. Dies a little bit. It's called a wide, in fact. Just losing his line there, Helm. Bit too ambitious, perhaps. I've just seen the Knight Frank player of the match pop up onto, or calls for the Knight Frank player of the match pop up onto social media. A reminder to tweet in to Middlesex _CCC who you think will be Middlesex's player of the match, or should be, as Helm is in, and this is not particularly connected there by Rawlins. Hadn't much of a clue where it was going, but Finch at the other end sent him back, said no skip, just the dot ball.
Enjoying getting plenty of feedback on social media at Middlesex _CCC. Ingram Losner is watching, he's a Sussex supporter, watching the feed from the unofficial Sharks Supporters Club in LA. I quite like that. He's enjoying our call. So thanks for tuning in. We've got Anna Forsyth, who wants to hear me say that sounds a bit fleshy again. I think I described the ball hitting the back pad of John Simpson as that in the first innings.
Each to their own. Helm, final ball of this over. And this is dug into the ground by Rawlins, picked up a backward point, and that means after 3 overs, Sussex find themselves 21 for 2.
But most importantly on social media, the Knight Frank player of the match. Knight Frank, POTM. That's there on Twitter. Win yourself some tickets to Lords for next year's Vitality Blast, and we'll select the player of the match, the Middlesex player of the match, as we work our way to the end of tonight. And I'll tell you what, the fast bowlers, Helm and Finn, are well and truly in contention after 3 overs here.
Well, just as we saw the fast bowlers pick up a wicket in the first over here, serve Pakistan. Johnny Bairstow falling to Shaheen Afridi for a 3-ball duck. England currently 3 for 1, chasing 190. After 1 over is Finn, right arm over, and this is turned into the onside. Nice and fine. Man at short fine leg comes through for a single, 22 for 2.
One other Knight Frank POTM player of the match nomination here in from Joshy Green on Twitter. He said it was a great innings from Stevie Eskenazi, but a momentous occasion for Luke Holman and the North Middlesex Cricket Club. So I assume that that's a North Mid teammate celebrating the debut tonight of the 19-year-old. And of course, it's always a wonderful moment when one of your club teammates makes it to the next level, as Holman has done tonight. I'm sure we'll see him with his leg break sooner rather than later.
Change in the field. Lincoln's pushed out to deep mid-wicket. Uses skills on the boundary rope as Finn is in. Rawlins pushing it into the onside. Just nudging it out there. Souter with the fielding. Really picking up the yards there, Lincoln. Having to go at the moment from boundary to boundary. Or is he going to settle inside the circle? Here he is. I think he's giving a bit of a breather. At mid-wicket, south of the man that's doing boundary to boundary. Square leg to square leg. Oh no, Lincoln's been pushed out. Poor man. That's it. I hope he's got his wrist tracker on or something. Step counter. Finn. This is plugged into the onside. Falls short of Lincoln there at deep mid-wicket. Finch trying to make room for himself, but the ball seems to just follow him. And another single means that they have to run again across the width of the field.
Yeah, for the briefest moment there, I thought that was hanging in there in the air long enough to get Lincoln in the game for the second time on that deep mid-wicket rope, but not to be, as they, as you say, make their... What would that be? From deep mid-wicket to deep mid-wicket, we're looking at, what, 150-odd metres, something like that? Maybe not quite.
Finn, and this is rocketed out of the ground, over the mid-wicket boundary, into the stands, in the middle of the first tier. That was a huge shot from Rawlins. It means the score moves to 30 for 2.
You can understand why people get very excited about Delray Rawlins when they see him playing for Sussex. They see a potential future England player. Of course, as I mentioned, he's playing associate international cricket at the moment, but having had that opportunity at 19s level, it's competitions like this, isn't it? It's nights like tonight. If he can be the match winner and be there at the end and make the defining contribution with the bat, well, that'll force people to take note of what is clearly considerable ability. That was a lovely shot.
Yeah, absolute rocket. Here comes Finn again. What can he do? Rawlins there on 11 from his 8. Finn over the wicket, and this is just nudged into the onside. Settles for the single. A couple more people watching from the flats to our right, silhouetted against the...
What better entertainment?
Right,
I'm sure that anyone that has an apartment up there would have bought it with a mind to a view to rather to watching the cricket. Well, they didn't get any until 4 days ago this year. Fill your boots. They should all be out there on the balcony. Where are you?
Here's Finn. This is pushed back at the bowler, and there is no run.
I wonder what the view is in different parts of the 3 buildings that look over the top here.
I was going to say, I think asking where are you to prime real estate in the centre of London is futile.
Well, potentially, yes. But those buildings, which I wonder how high up they are, the view of Lords, how that affects their value and so on.
Well, they must do. I mean, you basically got sort of, got a few test matches for free.
Yeah.
T20 blasts, it's... buy a nice set of binoculars and you're away.
Absolutely. You'd be closer there than you would be in some international venues. Thinking of...
MCG.
Well, Sheikh Zayed Stadium in Abu Dhabi, where you're 120 metres away in the grandstand.
New over, helm to continue, right arm around the wicket, and this is pushed into the offside, driven nicely by Rawlins. Another single to the total. 32 for 2.
The bull ring's another one in Johannesburg. When you're up on that top deck, you may as well be sitting in an apartment across the road. The aforementioned MCG, of course. And although they tend to have the seats a bit more on top of each other rather than slanted back like it would be to get a grandstand there. Not that there ever will be, of course. Wouldn't dream of such a thing.
Helm over the wicket. Finch there, another single. So just slowed up a little bit. Having said that, once Rawlins hits a few singles, they'll surefire be something a lot bigger in a couple of balls. You just feel as though Middlesex just have holding on to it here.
Yeah, important from Harris.
Yes, it's Harris now with the ball. Right arm round the wicket. This is full, flat batted down to Finn. Pulls out the long barrier. Another single. So 3 of 3 balls so far in this opening James Harris over.
See their photographers who are over in the grandstand there. One of our media colleagues positioned right in the middle of the mound stand you could see on the stream just before. A couple sitting in the tavern as well. Fantastic spot to take photos at Lords, of course.
Harris back over the wicket to Finch. Nice and straight. Following Finch moving in his crease.
I received a book yesterday, actually, a photographic collection of photos traced, taken then subsequently traced, of the World Cup final last year. About 50 or so photos all put together. Took me right back to that wonderful afternoon. Such a big part of our sport, isn't it, photography?
Harris again. And this is driven down the ground as a shy at the non-striker's end. Missed the stumps, missed the field, missed the batter as well. I mean, that was coming in quite sharply there. From Holman it was, at mid-off.
I should give them a plug, actually. It's a free book, as in to say you can look at the PDF for nothing. It's called Tracing Yarns. That's the hashtag, the name on Twitter. If you want to go back to that World Cup final last year, it doesn't cost you anything. I think it's a photographer doing it from the kindness of his own heart.
Beautiful. Harris, final ball of his first over, round the wicket to Rollins, bounces it into the turf. He thinks about having a flay at that. He thought he might be called a wide as well, as it was short and it was reasonably wide outside off stump. But there's a dot to end it, and a good first over there from Harris. Only 4 from it, 35 for 2 Sussex after 5 overs.
Yeah, a much better first over from Harris. He was one of the Middlesex bowlers who copped a pounding from Bell Drummond and Crawley in the power play on Saturday, and I don't think he really recovered from that, apart from perhaps the 19th over when he needed to, when they had 13 runs to play with and he was throwing the ball. But he would, as it is with Finn and Helm, he would feel like he's very much in this defence now. They've got 165 runs to play with, and they've got the squeeze on here.
Full toss from Finn.
Oh.
And there's almost a catch there at mid-on. Fielder there just running back. I just wonder if he jumped up a little. I'm not saying he should have been higher or jumped higher, but it just popped over the top of the fielder at mid-on. Didn't run down to the boundary, but he did get a couple for it.
I've missed my cue to take over from you there, Isabel. But you nearly hung on for one more ball and got another wicket. That would have been fine. No concerns. So Finn to the crease, making room for himself as Finch, who goes out towards deep mid-wicket, and it's taken, it's relay thrown, and it's caught. Wow, that is very clever work there on the rope. Lincoln again, crucial. That's modern fielding at its very best. We've talked about Middlesex being exceptional in the third discipline on Saturday, as they have been again here today. 3 opportunities, all taken. That the most athletic of them. Finch goes for 8. Sussex 37 for 3, but 3 wickets inside the power play. 3 catches, Isabel Westbury, and that was a touch of class on the boundary rope.
Yeah, really, really good awareness there from Lincoln. He could see that the ball was travelling pretty far, pretty fast. He thought he could get to it, but he also knew that he was in with a good chance of being tipped over the boundary rope. Another fielder there with him. The scoreboard at the moment claiming it for Lincoln. Oh, they've got Lincoln and Souter, yeah.
And rightly so. I mean, we've seen in the past, we see run-outs where they have 2 players acknowledged. That was as much Lincoln's catch as it was Souter's, who had the ball thrown back to him. But, I mean, Lincoln, who's been running, as you said before on commentary, running from mid-wicket to mid-wicket to mid-wicket.
And that's why, because sometimes you just thought, oh, come on, just put somebody else in the boundary. The poor fella, he's running back and forth. But actually, they want him there because he's a specialist fielder out there.
Yeah, that's right.
Hugely important.
And reinforcing that point that I was talking about in the first innings here this evening, that very well credentialed judges like Trent Woodhill, who have seen T20 comps all around the world, say the fielding is better in the Blast than it is in India or Australia or anywhere else for that matter, the CPL. And that was evidence of it there from Dan Lincoln, who of course has got that football background as well. Athletic.
Safe pair of hands.
Safe pair of hands. You'd want to have safe pair of hands in his old job. Finn bowls here, and Rawlins, well, good stop on the edge of the circle. I thought he might have bisected short extra cover and mid-off, but that's a good stop there from Harris on the circle, who's bowling at the other end. An important stop, saved at least a couple of runs. Instead they go through for a single. The new man in for Sussex is David Weiser, who made 43 not out in the chase against Hampshire on Saturday. So he's in good nick. Cleared the boundary a couple of times there. A lot of experience. This, his 229th T20. Strikes at 144. Steve Finn on the way to him here. And Weiser deflects to Holden. At backward point, no run. So we talked about the squeeze. It's netted Middlesex 3 wickets already. I note that Holden and Souter are well in off the circle. Eskenazi as well on the offside. They don't want to give them a single. Forget about setting back and playing defensively and trying to give themselves a chance to dive around and stop boundaries. They want to make sure that every run is hard fought for Sussex here. Just a couple of deliveries left in the power play. Weiser chipping through mid-wicket. Not in control of the stroke. They do get a couple all the same. That man Lincoln again doing the work at deep mid-wicket, I think it was. So 38 for 3. We have one ball to come in the power play. Middlesex have picked up Wright, Salt and Finch. 3 very good catches, especially the third. Earlier in this over. Finn has 2 wickets. Bowls here on the hip. Weiser's off the mark with a single. He will retain the strike. That is the end of the power play. 41 for 3. Weiser is on a couple. It's on 3 rather, and Rawlins is on 15.
Interesting to see now what Middlesex do in terms of bowling wise. So at the end of 6 overs in the Middlesex innings, they were 58 for 1, going really nicely. Eskenazi down 30.
Seeing that pattern repeated here. So Finn's turned straight to his senior spinner, Nathan Souter, who was as important as anybody in tying that game on Saturday. He bowled the second over and had 17 taken from it. But after that, he got brought back in the middle overs, picked up a couple of wickets, the all-important breakthrough of Zach Crawley as well, I should add. And gets first chance for the spinners. So the field is out. 3 out on the leg side. Deep square, deep mid-wicket, then long on, long off, deep extra cover. Bowling here to Weiser, who pushes into the offside, and Souter makes his way around and cuts it off. Would you believe the scoreboard is running behind here at Lord's? You don't say that very often. It's caught up between over, but I was looking at the screen and it didn't marry up with the feed. But Souter bowls through the offside, nicely struck there by Weiser, out to deep point, gets 1 for it. He's now 4. Izzy, we said before that for Delray Rawlins, a night like tonight can be really important as far as being a young man in a situation where you're not the icing on the cake, you are the cake. If they're going to win, he's going to have to be the man.
Well, that's it. It can't just be a sort of bunch of fireworks. He's got to really anchor this innings as well. He's hitting the ball nicely, but he needs to be the man to not, if not be there at the end, at least get a half century on that board for Sussex.
That man, Dan Lincoln, beneath us here at long off. On the back foot, Rawlins piercing the gap through the circle on the offside, but it's collected by Gubbins, running in from the deep cover rope. Rawlins 16 from 14 now.
David Milan has been dismissed against Pakistan.
What are they chasing there? Souter bowls. Shorter. Oh, shout for leg before. I feel like I was up with the appeal of Souter, but there must have been an inside edge.
191 to win
191
for England. They're 33 for 2 in the 5th over. Struggle that.
Souter. Flatter again. That's a shout for leg before. Turned down. Spits out to the offside. So the ball before it was the prototype, if you like, and he just got it through a fraction flatter to Weiser there. 2 good top spinners in a row. Will he try it again? He will. That's more your wrong'un, but Weiser waited on it, picked it and placed it beautifully through the offside. That's going to be 4 runs. So perhaps he saw it coming, given the 2 deliveries before it were in that area where he missed both of them, but that time made no mistake. 8 from 8 balls is Weiser after 7 overs. Sussex, who are chasing 166, are 47 for 2. 47 for 3 make that.
Yeah, just dragged it down a little bit there, Nathan Souter, and that's frustrating to end the over on a boundary. But still, Middlesex on top for the time being. Rawlins still in there. His run rate having fallen a little bit. He struggled to back up his early innings fireworks. 16 from 14 balls currently, Rawlins.
So we're going to see the new spinner as well. Big moment for young Luke Holman. We saw him promoted up the order to bat at number 7. He's going to bowl the 8th over of this Middlesex defence of 165. Tandem wrist spinners. Holman, 19 years old, on debut. First ball here, Rawlins doesn't get all of it. Tries to carry it a fraction squarer than that. Ends up at long off, or long on rather, where Lincoln does the tidying up. They take 48 for 3.
You're almost petrified of bowling a full toss, aren't you, first ball? So it's a little bit inevitable, perhaps it will drag down a bit short.
I think that's fine as a wrist spinner.
Yeah.
Just getting it on the dance floor to begin is good enough. Obviously a volatile craft. Bowls here, flat. Well bowled and well played. They should be able to get to... No, good fielding. Rawlins called quits on the second run. He would have been running to the danger end.
And we saw, I think that's the difference between Middlesex and Sussex. Middlesex would have taken that too. They were very quick between the wickets.
Yeah, Harris running in off the long on rope, or long off rope now. Rawlins this time gets plenty of it over the top of mid wicket and into the stand. Into the mound stand, third row. That brings up the Sussex 50. They're 55 for 3, halfway through the 8th over. And Rawlins is getting dangerous. He's into the 20s, 23 from 16 balls. Well executed there. Didn't try and overhit it, crucially. Do we go again? Oh, big shout for leg before. It's given! Holman gates the breakthrough. And it's a big one too. Rawlins has gone for 23. And Holman, his first over in professional cricket, gets a most important wicket, that of Delray Rawlins. Leg before for 23. Middlesex have their 4th in just the 8th over. A lot to like about this young man.
What a mature response from Holman. He's just been thrashed into the stands and you're thinking, oh my goodness, what can this man Rawlins do to me here? But he's pitched it up a little bit more. He's trapped him in front. Rawlins there, walking off, punching his bat. He's furious. How has he got himself in such fashion, having been so all over it just moments before? And Holman, that's a confidence boost that anybody wants. Your first over of professional cricket, and you've got someone like Rawlins out. Yeah, he'll be made up.
The point you made before about being hit for 6, Rawlins went for the same stroke, trying to pick out deep mid wicket. He was down for that slog sweep. Back knee down, but perhaps a little bit of extra pace, bit of kiss off the track. We saw how effective the Sussex spinners were earlier. And so far, the same applies for Middlesex. Holman bowling here to the new man, Ravi Bopara, coming in at number 6, who takes a single out to mid-wicket. Is off the mark. Of course, Bopara, who's played so many important roles in chasing teams at number 6. A new recruit to Sussex this year, having played in, well, almost every year of the blast for Essex. On the offside, carving out the deep point is Weiser. They take 1. He's into double figures. End of a successful over for Luke Holman. A wicket in his first over in the top flight for Middlesex. 1 for 10. Rawlins.
Useful for Middlesex. 4 wickets already. Sussex are, and we haven't yet reached the halfway mark.
So it'll be Souter, the senior of the wrist spinners for Middlesex, bowling here and getting Weiser onto the front foot, taking 1. He's 11. We talked before, Isabel, about Holman's teammates at North Mid, who were very enthusiastic on Twitter earlier. They certainly have something to shout about here, the 19-year-old doing the business straight away. Who knows, maybe he will be the Knight Frank player of the match. Indeed, if he were to be. If he goes and runs through Sussex here, you can vote for him at Knight Frank POTN, that's the hashtag on Twitter, Middlesex_CCC, or in the Facebook comments. Souter bowls here to Bapara. It's full, clipped, or helped, should I say, down to long on where Lincoln does the fielding. Deep cover, long off, long on, deep mid-wicket, deep square leg. Weiser sets himself, inside edge. Souter, from our angle hard to tell, but it looks like he's bowling a lot of top spinners and wrong-uns based on the way that the right-handers are playing him. Souter again. This is more flighted, and Weiser has a mighty wind-up and swing and doesn't get a lot of it. Spilling out towards Max Holden, running in off the deep mid-wicket boundary, 61 for 4. Or 60 for 4, I should say. So they need to go at 9.4 runs and over from here. Oh, another leg before wicket. Appeal from Souter. That might have been doing just a little bit too much. Bapara beaten on the inside edge. The appeal turned down. Souter to him again. Bapara down towards long on. Souter wants to do the fielding. And I tell you what, that might have been the reason why Bapara was satisfied with the single. In the end, Lincoln got the throw in. Souter has none for 11 from his 2 overs so far. And Sussex a 61 for 4, which means they've got a pretty long way to go, just looking at the equation as it stands. I can't...
Really tidy here from Middlesex. And we talked about spinners coming in the 7th, 8th over. You've got Souter there who's really tying them down, drying up the runs, just 5 off both of his overs. Holman's got that key wicket of Rawlins, and he continues now from the nursery end.
Yeah, so 105 needed from the last 11 overs. 9.6 is the required rate. Holman, successful in his first over. Will he be again here? Over the top goes Bapara, out towards extra cover. 1 bounce and 4.
Only just wide, though, of the man at long off.
Yeah, and if Lincoln was in the game, I'm sure he would have been diving and getting himself closer to the ball, but looks as though it was just a fraction too wide as he was making his way from long off. Bapara's first boundary. Holman 3 out on the leg side, all in front of square. Bapara playing respectfully. The young spinner. Lots of chat from the fielders inside the circle. Over the top again. This time Lincoln collects and denies a second run being taken. The ground fielding is matching the catching here from Middlesex. They're right on the money. 66 for 4.
You're a poet, and you don't know it. Matching the catching. See what you've done there.
Who says I didn't mean it? Holman to Weiser. Trying to use the pace. Gets 1, or could be 2 if they run on a misfield. They elect not to. Helm does the tidying up. 67 for 4. So 1 ball to come in the first half. Sorry, make that 2 balls to come in the first half of this Sussex chase. They've left themselves a lot of work to do. Holman to the crease and bowls, and oh, it's taken a short cover. Holman has a second. It's that of Ravi Bapara, who we know can be a match winner. Eskenazi in there at catching cover. Middlesex have their 5th wicket. Sussex 67 for 5 on the stroke of the 10th over. Isabel Westbury, the young leg spinner, has got himself right in this contest.
Yeah, textbook catch there, really. Just settles, sets, and then 2 hands just in front of his forehead there, Eskenazi. It went fast, but straight to him. And another key wicket there. Ravi Bapara departs for 8. So he's got Bapara and he's got Rawlins. This is an all-right debut for...
Tell you what, he's got a man.
Rawlins.
He did play for England just then, and one he probably will be in a couple of years. I mean, what a tremendous start. We've seen the social media traffic from his teammates who are watching closely. Couldn't be happier for the 19-year-old. Well, here he is making a statement. Brought into the squad and straight into the 11 as well, of course, as part of the England under-19 setup. And been with Middlesex since he was 9 years old, and getting this chance today at Lords. Garton's the new man in for Sussex in a fraction earlier than he would have fancied. 1 ball to come in this, the 10th over. And Middlesex have already dismissed half of the Sussex lineup. 67 for 5. Last ball of Holman's over to the left-handed Garton, who plays defensively, knocking it on the head. So, 10 overs gone. Sussex are 67 for 5. Salt, Wright, Finch, Rawlins, Papara, all back in the hutch. As I hand over to Isabel to take us through the next 5 overs. Sussex need 99 from 60 balls.
Well, we talked about the scores that we saw in that match against Kent, 209 apiece. So Middlesex's total here that they posted far below that. But at the moment they're doing a pretty good job of defending it. And let's just have a look back at the end of 10 overs. Middlesex found themselves 75 for 2. I think it's the wickets column that's really key there. Sussex now 67 for 5. And Souters made way for James Harris in the pavilion end. So he's going to have a little roll of the arm. Right arm over, full, and picks the outside edge of Visa, and he's going to pick 4 runs for it. He didn't know where that was going. He wanted to try and flick that into the onside. And poor Harris, a good delivery. And he's been punished with 4 runs. Didn't deserve it. But hey ho, 4 runs to Visa. Thick outside edge, 71 for 5. Owen Morgan and Tom Banton appear to be at the crease in that England match against Pakistan, 65 for 2. Into the 7th over there as Harris is right arm over. A full delivery. Check drive in the air over the top of Finn at extra cover. Brings him back for 2. Holds up on the ground before it reaches the boundary. That's all right, won't mind that one. Visa moves to 19, 73 for 5. Garton there at the other end. Faced 1 ball, he's on naught at the moment. Deep square leg, deep mid wicket out there. Cover point as well on the boundary, as is long off. And this wraps him on the pads. There's an appeal for LBW. Low and straight. Not in the umpire's view, not this time. You see Middlesex bowlers running back to their mark because the cut-off is just past 9 o'clock and we've still got the best part of 10 overs still to play. It's Harris right arm over, and this is a full toss, and oh, it's hit him on the chest. It's been signalled a no ball, but that's going to hurt. And immediately Harris there with the apology. The no ball called. And that's a free hit. So free hit signalled by the umpire, and if Visa is still okay, if he's not been injured by that, just taken a body blow, he's wearing an arm guard, that means he'll have the luxury of a free hit. Let's see what we can do here. Visa on strike. Harris. This has gone miles up over square leg. I thought Father Time was in danger there. It's gone about, what? It's gone into the second tier of the Lord's down. I think the umpire doesn't really need to signal that. That's gone 6 and somewhat.
Well, that has gone. That has nearly ended up on the roof of the tavern stand there. That is.
I honestly thought Father Time was in danger.
That's hit the 3rd back row. That could have easily ended up out towards those apartments, really. And as you say, had it been a fraction squarer, Father Time was in play. Indeed, that famous clock face might have been threatened as well, but gee, what a wallop.
That'll help the run chase. Here comes Harris. This is a full toss again, below the no ball line, so to speak, and Visa just plugs it down the ground for a single. And I think Visa wasn't injured then by that full toss.
Importantly.
Beamer.
Is this having a little chat to
I don't
Harris
know.
there? They're just having a word. It might have been a polite word. Is to know.
Yeah.
You don't want to assume anything.
Which side are you bowling from, maybe, or what do you think you're doing? Oh well, all's well 82 for 5.
Nothing wrong with that, of course. Weiser struck an unbeaten 43 from 31 balls in their win over Hampshire. 4 boundaries and a 6.
Can bat. Here comes Harris around the wicket, and there's a swing and a miss by Garton. Through to the keeper. Ends the over. Reasonably productive one there for Sussex. They moved to 82 for 5. 11 overs gone. Still require 84 to win, so the required rate above 9s. Not impossible after that productive over. Middlesex will want to put their foot back on the brakes, and they're going to continue then with Holman. So they're persevering with the young spinner. 2 for 16 from his 2 overs. He's bowling to Visa. This is thrashed into the offside over extra cover. That'll be 4. Beats the fielder there. Max Holden out on the cover point boundary. Quick hands there from the South African.
Different kind of challenge here for Holman now, isn't it? With Lisa having made the decision to put the foot down, really taking on Harris in the previous over. 15 runs from that set. Now Holman has a different job here now.
Flatter, Holman to Visa. Ooh. Has that reached the man at long on? No, it's beaten him. Oh, horrible feeling there for the bowler. He thought he may just be in play there. Didn't get hold of it completely there, Visa. And just for a moment, his heart would have been in the pit of his stomach. But it sails over. 36 he moves to Visa, 92 for 5.
Just cleared the rope, didn't it?
Holman to Visa again. And this one's thick inside edge. Squirts down to deep square. Comes through for a single. Good piece of bowling.
I must admit, I'm enjoying the sort of homespun batting stance and grip from Ruisa, with the bat almost, well, not so much between his 2 feet, but almost touching his front foot, with the edge of the bat hitting the ground, ready to whack.
Holman into Garden, left hand, and he hits it back over the bowler's head. Nice looking shot, muscled it over. Just a little bit too full in the slot there for Garton. 97 for 5.
How quickly a game can change in short form cricket. I mean, you look at the position that Sussex were in at the end of their power play. Well, they've added 30 runs since then, and they've only been 11 subsequent deliveries.
Here's Holman again, and this is just turned into the onside, and they'll come through for a single. Holman fields off his own bowling. Well, the run rate matches the required rate for Sussex. So as long as they can keep some of those wickets intact, they're on course.
Yeah, game within a game, isn't it? Getting Lisa is going to be the ball game. If they can get him, it will change the complexion radically. Sounds like an obvious statement, but it is the big wicket now. Oh.
Holman almost beats Visa, who really winds up there, but it only reaches the man at mid-wicket. 99 for 5 to end that over. So 12 overs gone, 99 for 5. Visa there on 30.
Within a contest, if Weiser can continue to prosper over the next 5 or 6 overs, well, Sussex will reach the tally. Simple as that. 67 to win from 8 overs. That's a doddle in the modern game. On the other hand, if he can be removed, then Middlesex will be able to get a look at their bowlers, and they'll back themselves from there.
Finn's brought back Souter to
big
the pavilion
over.
end.
Huge over, isn't it? Look at the way he's setting up there with that edge on the ground. Very unusual.
Souter to Visa. Turns it onto the onside for a single. I think that's a sensible move for Middlesex skipper. In a way, I wondered why he was brought off, because he was Souter was the one that was really keeping the run rate down. He thought maybe Holman was getting the wickets. Souter's keeping the run rate down, and then he gambled with Harris as Sussex bring up their 100 for 5. But yes, a good move to bring him back, perhaps Souter. Just hope that Visa isn't quite into his stride yet. It's past the outside edge through to the keeper. I mean, he's in his stride, but he doesn't get hold of him, having settled in. Tall South African.
Good quick top spin of that.
He comes again, pushing Garden back into his crease, and good fielding from backward point prevents the single.
Yeah, a lot to like about the way Sauter bowls with the white ball, isn't there? It isn't about lateral spin. It's about overspin. It's about variation.
Sauter to Visa, plugs that into the offside and falls just in front of long off beneath us. Fielded nicely by Dan Lincoln. I think they may have just run a single.
Hey, they got back for 2 in the end.
All right. Garton waits. Flat batted out to cover point. Another this one is a single. Yeah, as we reach the final ball of Sauter's third over, he's gone for just 14 runs. That's important for Middlesex. Just as Visa looks to get going.
Big ball this.
Flatter. Padded back to the bowler. And Sauter's happy with that. And so will his captain be. 103 for 5. 13 overs gone. That run rate creeping back up to the 9s.
Yeah, top over. I mean, Nathan Sauter, he has been so impressive, hasn't he? We saw on Saturday the way he was able to restrict Kent at an incredibly tough time and take wickets. And he hasn't had an entry in that column this evening, in the wickets column, across 3 overs, but conceding just 14 runs. And this was at the moment, that third over, when Weiser was exploding. And there's no reason to suggest that that wouldn't have continued had it been anyone else other than Sauter. But the respect he commands, attacking the stumps with that wrist spin, so accurate. The top spinners, the wrong uns and so on, makes it incredibly hard to get away. Someone like Rashid Khan, similar approach. Adam Zampa for the Australian team. Well, that's what Nathan Sauter's doing here this evening.
That's the fabled all-rounder Anderson from the nursery end. And he's been swatted for 4 straight away, backward a point. A little bit angling too wide to the left-handed Garton. Just guided that down. 107 for 5.
It's a good shot. Of course, we saw Anderson pick up 7 wickets against Sussex a couple of weeks ago. 4 in the first innings, 3 in the second. But Garton nor Weiser were involved on that occasion. Garton was injured and Weiser wasn't in red ball calculations.
Anderson to Garton. Yorks him.
Ooh, chance.
And there's a chance of a run out. Anderson following through. But he's sent back. Garton sent back by Visa. And sensibly so.
He's a real competitor, Anderson. We've both enjoyed the way that he's played his cricket over those 2 games we saw at Radler, and indeed here on Saturday as well. He charges in aggressively, races around the field. Of course, with the bat, most fluent, especially through the offside. 23 years of age, he's got a lot of upside, as they say.
Anderson to Garton. This is plugged into the onside. Fielders come in from both long on and mid-wicket, and it's just the single.
And that was quite a serious back injury he was coming back from last year. He did a double stress fracture, both sides, which meant they had to realign his action and make sure that he was hitting the crease at the right angle. He was playing club cricket for Wes Torrance in Adelaide at the time, and came home and had that operation or had that rehabilitation and so on. And here he is a year on, and certainly been able to do a job with both bat and ball in red ball cricket. Now he has the chance with the white.
Visa on strike. Full toss. Plugged into the onside. Lands safely in front of deep mid-wicket. He's faced a few of those today. Visa, I don't know whether it's because he's a tall man and they just think, right, there's his hips.
Well, that couldn't have been far away from
a no ball.
Getting above that hip. So you could say precision placement, really, but I'm sure it wasn't intended to be there.
Maybe it's because he's a tall man. They can get away with it. Anderson to Garton, another full toss, plugged back down the ground.
That is a no ball.
Is called a no ball?
Yeah, it is. So that'll be a free hit, plus the additional runs to the total. And it'll mean that Visa's on strike.
Yeah.
So that could be costly. We're seeing the field move a little bit. Deep mid-wicket, long on, deep square, long off, deep cover.
Which they can do because they've crossed. That's why Visa's on strike. So Finn has a little chat with his bowler. What can Anderson do? What can Visa do? Here he comes. swatted back down the ground, and it just evades the fielder, sliding in from long on. Couldn't keep up with it. There's Harris out there.
Yeah, so much good work from Middlesex in the first 10 overs, but it does run the risk of coming a cropper here. That wicket of Bapara fell when the score was 67. It's now 116.
Anderson again, full toss, lower full toss, fielded by Gubbins out at cover point. Yes, we've seen
Just
two
a 50 stand, yeah.
no balls that have been the free hits have been hit for 10 runs. So that's huge, really, when you think about it. 117 for 5, as you say, the 50 stand between these two. Visa there on 45 from 29 deliveries.
And they've done it quickly as well. They've been out there together for 26 legal deliveries, a couple of, 27, sorry, according to the scoreboard. I had 26, but I'll go with the board. A couple of extras in there, but most of it's been done via Visa, who's unbeaten on 45 from 29, playing a very similar hand to what he did against Hampshire. 6 overs to go. When you're looking at the mathematics for Stephen Finn, he has used 6 bowlers, but one of those was Anderson, who just took some tap, had 14 taken off it. So plenty of work to do from all 5 of the other bowlers, potentially.
Sauter to Visa, turning it down to long on. Settle for the single.
Going with Sauter. So Sauter will bowl out with 5 overs to go. 2 from Helm, who of course took 1 for 7 off 2 overs early on, was outstanding. 1 from the captain. Finn has 2 for 28 from 3. 2 from Harris up his sleeve, and 1 from Holman, who also has 2 wickets.
Sauter to Garden, put a little bit shorter and tries to field off his own bowling, and he manages to get a hand to it. So it means that Sussex amble through for a single. And that run rate, the current run rate and the required rate, once again level, 8.3.
Really important. Sauter, the wicket-taking chance.
Flatter. Thick outside edge from Visa. Third man inside the ring. Another single.
Trying to cut off his off stump. Just a fat edge. Got plenty on it, but spitting out towards short third man. He was deep in the crease. Not far away at all for Sauter there. That's the right attack to a man that's trying to pop you over deep mid-wicket.
Garton on strike, and this is a good hand from the man at extra cover. We'll wear that one as Lincoln beneath us at long off comes to field.
So he'll bowl the penultimate delivery of this over, and indeed his spell to Visa with 45 needed off 32, but they'd need to get this man.
Sauter to Visa, drags short once more. Thrashed into the offside, but only so far as the fielder at cover point as Sauter gears for his final ball of his spell.
Yeah, so nothing wrong with this over with 1 ball to come in it, but didn't really give himself a chance to pick up Visa either.
To Garden, thrashes this down to long off, so a single to end, and it means pretty decent figures there from the young leggy Nathan Sauter. No wickets, but only 20 runs conceded off 4 overs, going at 5 per over. Really helped his captain out.
So we're in the final 5 overs. Sussex 123 for 5. Visa 48 off 32. He is the man at the moment. Garton, who's been riding shotgun, 17 from 16. 43 needed off 30 balls. It'll be Garton, the left-hander, on strike, with Stephen Finn bringing himself back to bowl his 4th over. Picked up 2 wickets earlier, 2 really important wickets. 3 out on the leg side, 2 on the offside. He bowls here over the wicket. Finn, in his follow-through, gets a hand down. Not sure if that carried, but he took some pace off the ball. Kept it to 1. Good athletic effort there from the captain. I mean, was that a 10th of a chance? Hard to call it that, given how well he could get down to it. 42 from 29. Finn, who picked up the wickets of Salt and Finch, bowls here to Visa. Hooking. through the onside and doing it so well. Behind square for 4, crashing into the fence in front of the Warner stand, and that's his half century as well. Weiser, 52 from 33 balls, 36 minutes, 5 boundaries and 2 sixes. He was the match winner against Hampshire on Saturday with an unbeaten 43. He's well on his way to being so again tonight. Middlesex must stop the veteran South African. An unorthodox grip on the bat, but it's doing the trick here. Finn on the way and bowls, pushing out to cover. Nothing there. An important dot. We had the grandstand finish on Saturday. The last over final ball finish. We called that at about 5 overs before the conclusion. Well, if Weiser still sticks around, I doubt we'll make it to the last over on the current evidence. But if they can, if Middlesex can get the job done, the skipper here bowls. Weiser carving out to deep point, 1 bounce before reaching Nick Gubbins. That was struck magnificently. But just for 129 for 5.
Gubbins really having to steady himself almost to absorb the power in that shot.
Yeah, that's not fun. Even on a comparatively mild evening, that stings the hands. So mid or long on, deep mid wicket, deep square leg when Garton's on strike. 2 out on the offside as well. Finn's over the wicket. Garton, can he beat cover? He can't. Eskenazi in there, stopping the run being taken. So a couple of dots, a boundary. Finn's got 1 ball to go. It's been a mixed bag, but it's been effective to the extent that he's got 1 more opportunity to have a look at Garton, who's 18 from 18. He's doing a good job just staying the course with Weiser. But he's also set. To remove him would be needing another Sussex player to get settled into the rhythms of the chase. And Finn will know that. His last ball. Garton keeps the strike, deflects to short third. A throw was considered and decided against. 1-3. Of the match. Knight Frank POTM on Twitter, which of course is Middlesex_CCC. Thanks to everyone who's supporting the call. See arc build up there between overs as well, who have been with us throughout here and at Radlett as they take their last COVID break. So a bit of hand sanitizer before we finish up. So Knight Frank POTM. Vote for the player of the match, which we'll announce in the last couple of overs, I suppose. Maybe just at the end of the game, because we don't know who the player of the match is yet, Isabel. That's the great thing about T20 cricket. That could still be determined based on the actions of the bowlers who will get their opportunity.
It's one of those things, like in an evasive game like football or rugby, you normally call the player of the match, 10 minutes before the end of play. But in Middlesex, you can have somebody that everything that they does, and there's in that final 10 minutes of play that they do even.
Well, this is an important over. They're all important overs, but Harris, who's conceded 19 from 2. Good first up, given some welly the second time around. Bowling here to Garton. His third from the pavilion end, running away from us, and bowls Garton! How they needed that. The veteran Harris called upon by Stephen Finn to bowl the 17th over, and the first ball of it bends back the off stump of Garton. Bowled for 19 from 19 balls, but at last this partnership is broken. They took Sussex from 67 to 130. They've given themselves a fantastic chance, and Weiser, of course, is still there, Isabel Westbury, but Garton certainly played his role as well.
Just unsettles things, doesn't it? You have those two at the crease. They'd made a 50 partnership. Even if one was going a lot more than the other, facing more deliveries, going at a higher rate, they were comfortable. And Harris has just come in and unsettled it a little bit, and it also means that Visa will be feeling that pressure a lot more. A new partnership he has to build. He's the senior one. He's the one that needs to take Sussex through to the end. And it's Ollie Robinson walking out to join Lisa. We know that he likes to get into the contest, into the scrap. We certainly saw that at Radlett a couple of weeks ago. He won't need any incentive
And the same will apply, no doubt, for the Middlesex bowlers. Harris has the ball in hand.
So the equation then, 36 runs needed of 23 balls.
Yeah, that's right. 23 balls.
Yeah.
So to Robinson, they're setting up with a deep mid-wicket, deep square leg, and a fine leg, deep point. A long on as well. So 4 on the leg side. Harris bowls to him and down through the leg side, not into the gap though. Lincoln charging in from long on. They'll take on his arm. He throws to the keeper's end, but they're too quick. That's good assertive running from Weiser to call it early. They were going to take on Lincoln, who of course is a fabulous fielder on the rope in front of us. 132 for 6. 34 needed off 22 balls. I've got a feeling we're going to be going to the last over again, as we did on Saturday. Can Middlesex go one better than the split result they achieved against Kent? Robinson, the man in at number 8. Extra man on the offside now, long off. Harris to him here. It's in the air towards long off, running it off the rope. One bounce before it reaches the debutant, Holman, who gets the throw in. Didn't get anywhere near all of that from high on the bat. It hung in the air. But charging it off the rope, too much work to do. Robinson moves to 3. 133 for 6. 33 from 21. Harris, halfway through his over, a successful one. Bowls here in the block hole. Excellent. That's where you want to be as a seamer as you work towards the death in a tight chase. Right on that crease line. He runs back to his mark, which would suggest that Middlesex might just be in a little bit of stopwatch pressure again, as they were on Saturday.
Yeah, 9:06, the cut-off there.
9:06, you say, for the last over, is it? Well spotted. So Harris here to Weiser. It's full again, through cover. Has he found the gap? He has. Big dive put in there by Holman, but it's in vain. 4 more for Weiser, who looks the match winner. He's 57 from 37. That's the 6th time he's found the rope for 4. A couple of times he's popped it into the stands as well. Harris gets one more opportunity at him. 29 from 19. Three out on the leg side. Harris's final ball to Weiser. Again, it's on the middle stump, clipped through the onside on this occasion. Down behind square, they get 1. And they come back for 2. So, end of the over. 3 to go. Weiser's 59 off 38. Robinson's 3 off 2 up the other end. He'll be on strike. Harris's over was worth 10 for Sussex, but from Middlesex's perspective, they broke up that most important partnership between Weiser and Garton. The latter man bowled first ball of that 17th over. They need 9 per over from here. Who's going to bowl them, Isabel Westbury? Who's bowling these 3 overs? Sketch it out for us.
Yeah, 27 from 18. We've got the tight one again. I'm liking this. So I wonder, just have a look at that scorecard.
How do they set it up? Of course, Helm's going to bowl the 18th and presumably the 20th.
As he did against Kent.
So who do they turn to for over number 19? Got a couple of options. Is it Harris? Is it Holman, the spinner?
That'd be audacious.
Anderson also an option. Helm starts the 18th. Oh, and he bowls him! Robinson stumps bent back. They enjoyed that. Robinson goes for 3. 139 for 7. Too quick.
And we've seen that from Helm as he's progressively over, from his very first ball that he delivered, he's just got progressively quicker. And that just rose on Robinson too quickly from the pads, ricocheted onto the stumps. That's a really important one for Middlesex. Weiser still at the crease, but Sussex now 139 for 7.
And this is the benefit of those glut of wickets Middlesex took in the first half of this defensive 165. It means that as we reach these death overs, they're bowling at bowlers. In this case, Will Beer. Granted, plenty of experience, 31 years of age, he's been around a long time, bowled very nicely earlier today, but his job will be primarily, to give the strike back to the South African, who's doing all sorts of damage with bat in hand.
So a few people on social media already calling Visa the Knight Frank player of the match, and I wonder is too
Not sure he's
soon.
eligible.
Too soon.
He might end up being the match winner, but he's not going to win the Knight Frank player of the match. I've just got a feeling. The judges might see it otherwise.
Veto the non-Middlesex player, perhaps.
Helm on the way. Wicket with his first ball. Delivers here. Oh, short. Up inside the rib cage of Beer, who has the presence of mind to just help it on its way behind square for a single. He's off the mark first ball. 26 from 16 left for Sussex, but Wieser is back on strike.
Maybe we should clarify that it's the Middlesex Knight Frank player of the match. So other teams need not apply.
Of course, you can win yourself tickets to Lords next year for the Vitality Blast. Get in there. Knight Frank, POTM. Helm. He's bowled so well tonight. Bowling here to Wieser, who carves him off the back foot. Straight to Anderson, who's at short third. Happy to allow them to rotate the strike. Doesn't take a ping at the stumps. Wieser into the 60s. 25 from 15. So Helm's bowled 2.3 overs, 2 for 9. Along with Eskenazi, he'd be in the box seat for player of the match, especially if you can bowl Middlesex to victory here. At the new man Beer, 3 out on the leg side. Bowls in the block hole, push down to one of them. Long on, takes a single. He's 2 from 2, 142 for 7. (24 from 14). But Sussex have lost 7 wickets, so the fact that they've got a set man at the crease only means so much. Long on, mid-wicket, deep square leg, deep point and long off, the 5 out as Helm approaches Wieser. Pulling behind square just to the right of the sweeper, so he only gets a single. It's a very good over this from Tom Helm. Wieser 61. Only one ball rather to come in the over. Beers on strike. Presumably they're going to look for the single if it's there. I doubt they'll be looking to engineer a scenario where Wieser's on strike, unless of course Beer can find the boundary. Will they make a change with that in mind? They do drop back fine leg, bringing up mid-off inside the circle. So 4 out on the leg side. Fine leg, deep square, deep mid-wicket, long on, and we have a deep point. Long off's up, third man's up. Helm bowls, Wieser on the pad, shout for leg before, ambitious from our angle, looks like it was too high. Leg by signalled, end of the Helm over. So Beer will retain the strike. Good result for Middlesex.
Yeah, that's everything they wanted from it, isn't it? Helm 2 for 11 from his 3. You can see the confidence in those field changes as well. He didn't think that Beer would be able to get anything in front of the bat. It was everything. If he was going to go for more than a single, it was going to be behind it. Trying to use the pace, manufacture the pace from Helm.
So Sussex have Briggs and Mills to come as their number 10 and number 11. Their number 9, Beer, is on strike. 2 from 3 balls. He kept the strike with that leg by. It's going to be Harris to bowl over number 19. 22 runs to play with. Last 2 overs. When Harris bowled the 19th over against Kent, he had 13 runs up his sleeve. 3 out again on the leg side, all in front of square. Harris bowls to Beer, who pulls out to mid-wicket. He'll get a single. 21 from 11 needed, but Wieser on 61's on strike. How does he manage this? Does he try and clear the rope? Or does he wait until the final over? Does he take it deep? Does he transfer the pressure back onto Tom Helm bowling over number 20?
Well, they're going to need boundaries there if they're going to reach that target. 21 still required.
I suppose the question is, does he chance his hand big time here, or does he leave that until the bitter end? 145 for 7. Mid-off becomes deep extra cover. Wieser sets up like an axe holding the bat. He does go out towards deep point. It's gone square enough to go for 4 and beat deep point.
And go for 6.
It's gone for 6. How well has he played that? Lifting it off the front foot. And it's gone the full journey 6 runs to Weiser, who moves to 67. That buys some breathing room as Sussex bring up their 150. 15 needed, 10 balls to go.
Yeah, talk about sort of placement. It was just too backward a point for the fielder to get round to it in time. And honestly, it must have sailed over the boundary edge by what? Half a yard?
Especially when our first impression was it is deep point in play.
Yeah.
Could there be a catch? Not to be. Weiser sets up again. Harris to him. It's short. Big top edge. Down towards short fine. And taken! Weiser's gone for 67. The Harris change of pace has won the error.
Oh, no.
Or has it?
Ball.
Or has it? It's a no ball.
Ooh.
Now, this can't be a run out according to the way the laws of the game are adjudicated. It's been signalled a no ball. Let's try and get to the bottom of this, Isabel Westbury.
Front foot no ball.
Well, what a moment in the game this is. Harris looked like he had got the vital breakthrough. Trying to read the body language between the two umpires as to why that no ball was signalled. It couldn't have been for 3 men behind square because they had the short fine in place and a man behind square on the leg side. Did he overstep? I mean, there was nothing wrong with the delivery from our angle. It was just it was an off-pace bouncer winning a top edge, taken at short fine leg by Martin Anderson.
It looks like they come through for a single.
So they've taken one. For the briefest moment, I think there was a consideration of trying to run out Beer down the other end, but they saw better of that. That's not the way it's done. Of course, we've seen instances in international cricket in the past of where players have been run out in those circumstances, but it's not de rigueur these days. So we don't know why that was called a no ball as yet. I'm looking around for
I haven't seen the signal.
Anybody who might have a sense of why that was signalled a no ball, we've got.
I haven't seen them signal a free hit though, so presumably it wasn't a front foot no ball.
So it's for something else other than the front foot no ball. As Harris goes again, this time to Beer, who pulls behind square. There'll be a couple there. It's into the gap. Do they take it? They do. Holden does the tidying up. Gee, 10 off 9. Weiser's got 68, he's not on strike. But the Harris wicket scratched off, chalked off for a no ball.
That's horrible, isn't it? Especially.
And it wasn't a free hit. So does that mean that it must have been signalled for potentially 3 men behind square? I mean, it's very hard for us to tell in the absence of having any audio coming in from the ground. Some controversy at Lords as Harris sets off again. Bowling to Beer. Strikes him on the pad. Chance for a run out if he kicks it onto the stumps. He does. But Weiser is quick enough to make it down to where he needs to be. So a couple of balls to go in this important over, the penultimate over of the game. 9 needed from 8 balls.
Gosh, that's just changed the whole perspective, well not the perspective, the whole sort of layout of how it's going to pan out. I mean, if Weiser went then...
Well, it's game over, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's near enough to game over, but instead, it's Weiser on strike. He's on 68 from 42 balls. They need 9 runs off 8 deliveries. Harris has to get through 2 more. Has to give Tom Helm the opportunity to bowl Middlesex to victory in the final over. Can't let Weiser find the boundary. And he goes over the top of point, and he does go towards that rope. It's man versus ball, and ball wins. Nick Gubbins ran as hard as he could. But 5 runs needed from 7 balls. That was 5 runs needed in the last over on Saturday. Well, this game has taken a number of twists and turns, and indeed this penultimate over has felt that way as well. And Weiser, who struck that glorious 6 to start it, out behind point off the front foot. He appeared to be dismissed. It was chalked off on account of a no ball. Strikes another boundary in that direction. Harris, 1 more ball to get out of this. And Weiser's going to keep the strike. A bunt into the onside. 4 runs needed from the 20th and final over of this Vitality Blast clash at Lords. Adam Collins, Isabel Westbury with you for the finale. Still trying to get to the bottom of that no ball, but it matters little now because the scoreboard tells the only story that matters. 1-6-2 for 7, the visitors. 1-6-6 they need to win. Weiser, who's on 73 from 44 balls, is the man on strike, and Tom Helm is going to have to repeat the miracle that he pulled off on Saturday if Middlesex are to win it from here.
Yeah, I think it's 18 off that over as well. So that's pretty huge.
So how do they set this up? Men are out. 4 on the leg side, Weiser. Only a man out at long off on the offside. Helm starts the last over. He gets Weiser off strike, or does he? Will they go for 2? They'll race in, and they get there. If anything, Weiser has benefited from the ball going so slowly off his bat there that Lincoln, who is rapid, racing in from deep mid-wicket, did not have a chance of cutting off the second run. So 2 needed to win, 1 to tie, 5 balls to go. That might prompt fielders inside the circle from Stephen Finn. Not a lot to be gained here by trying to protect the boundary. They'll keep a man out at deep fine and at deep mid-wicket, but the other fielders are in there trying to cut off one. Weiser facing up to Helm. He's on 75, and that is the win. What a performance from Weiser. He will finish on 79 not out. Sussex win by 3 wickets with 4 balls to spare. Quite the performance, given at one stage they were reduced to 67 for 5, but that's when Weiser walks in the middle and he walks off the hero. 79 not out from 46 balls, 8 fours, 3 sixes. A moment of controversy there in the penultimate over where he appeared to be caught at short fine leg, but he did not let that bother him, Isabel Westbury. He stuck the landing. A hell of a finish here at Lords, and Sussex leave headquarters as victors, having stole this one, having at one stage been, as I repeat, 67 for 5. But Weiser, what a performance that was.
Yeah, we talked about his unorthodox stance, but he's a tall man, and he used his levers well. He really... he shouldered, he carried the burden for Sussex. I mean, considering they were 5 down for not many at all, they're real big guns at the top of the order, both Luke Wright and Phil Salt falling cheaply. Delray Rawlins, just as you felt as though he was getting going, he was bowled out by the youngster Luke Holman, who made a very accomplished debut, it must be said, for Middlesex. But Visa a little bit further down the order, again Ravi Papara also falling cheaply, again to Holman. It had its twists, it had its turns. I don't think we really knew who was on top until really that final over. We talk about that penultimate over. I'm sure we'll go back to that many times. To think that Visa was caught and then called for a no ball. We're still not quite sure exactly why the no ball was called. But that was it. That was the game.
We can look back at some big overs, can't we? There was the Harris over that went for 15, followed by the Holman over that went for 16. They both did the job earlier on, but 31 runs in 2 overs, the 11th and the 12th, did change the momentum of the whole affair as Garton and Weiser started putting together that really important partnership that took Sussex from 67 for 5 in the 10th over to 130 for 6 in the 17th over, and by that stage they were right back on top.
Yeah, a quick word for Nathan Sauter, who bowled 2 spells of 2 overs, and really, it was to talk about a leg spinner only going at 5 per over, 0 for 20 from his 4 overs. He really brought Middlesex in with a chance there. He was ably supported by Holman. He got 2 wickets on debut. We're very pleased with that, certainly. But I wonder whether they didn't quite play their cards right. We saw that the Briggs and Beer for Sussex, they bowled through the middle overs, the 2 spinners there. They decided to persevere and stick with them. But we saw Finn almost chop and change maybe a little bit too much. I don't know. We can go back and we can analyse this to death. But, disappointment there for Middlesex.
So Weiser, to repeat, finishes on 79 not out from 46 balls, 8 fours and 3 sixes. We have our Knight Frank player of the match, which I should announce as Stephen Eskenazi, who for his 79 with the bat, he was the Middlesex player of the day. So if you're the lucky winner who'll be picked out of the hat, a number of people, of course, suggested Stevie on social media, you will win yourself some tickets to Lords thanks to Knight Frank, and thanks for their support throughout our call of this Vitality Blast fixture. But yes, the the way in which Weiser, who also made 79 incidentally, an unbeaten 79, set up there alongside Garton, he was taking responsibility for playing the long ball, if you like, and trying to get a dent in the chase. But a word for Garton as well, 19 from 19 balls. You can't do what Weiser did without having someone down the other end providing some ballast.
Oh, absolutely, and I think when he fell, it was that period where you thought, well, okay, he might not be doing the damage himself with the bat, but he had really sort of settled Weiser. You felt as though they were in a comfortable partnership, as though he didn't feel the pressure on him either. And the moment that Garton fell, it was suddenly thought, well, Robinson, we know that he thrashes about and he does like to really take it to a team. You felt as though the pressure then completely transferred to Weiser. It was all on his shoulders. If he could bat through to the end, he'd win it for Sussex. But if he didn't, that was it. That was game over. And that's what we thought it was in the penultimate over.
Well, that's it. We start off with 2 overs to go, and we're saying precisely that. It's Weiser at the end, or it's Middlesex's game. And the second delivery of the penultimate over, a bouncer from Harris, which from our perspective, from where we're sitting here watching the game,
don't know why it was
the benefit of any other technology at our disposal here from our commentary position, of course, in the COVID secure setting we're in. A top edge from an off-pace bouncer taken by Martin Anderson on the circle, and the celebrations began in earnest, but then he was called back, and then by the end of that over he was finishing with another boundary, and look, left Tom Helm, who also bowled so well, 2 for 17 from 3.2 overs. Well, he didn't have the runs he needed to bowl out the game, only having 4 runs to play with in the last over.
Yeah, I think that's something that Middlesex they'll rue. I think they felt as though they definitely remember the chance there of defending their total. I mean, one thing to say was that it was 40, good 40 runs below what they had made earlier in the week against Kent. So certainly on a pitch that was playing well, seeing the ball well, they'll be disappointed not to have made more runs this evening. But luckily for Middlesex, luckily for us, we're back here again in 2 nights' time.
We are indeed back here in 2 nights' time. We've seen a final over finish, a tie against Kent. We've seen a controversial finish, final over conclusion again against Sussex. Let's see if Middlesex can do one better against Essex at Lords again on Thursday night. We'll be here. Adam Collins, Isabel Westbury. Hopefully you will be here as well. Thanks for your company throughout the course of the night. Sussex the winners by 3 wickets. Must have been 3 behind square. I can't imagine a scenario where it's not.
It's got to be 3 behind.
Well, it couldn't have been. It was a bouncer. It was a bouncer, and you don't get penalised for that anyway. So
Head height,
it wasn't. It was a short ball. It was bouncer.
oh no, of course, it's bouncer.
It's fine. No dramas. No dramas. So I mean, but the thing is, if they're 3 behind square, how did that happen? But we don't know. We shouldn't. Anyway, probably should not round like marks or something.
I was trying to look back at the footage. You can look back at it.
Oh, I'm emotionally invested in this at the moment, Fletch.
Okay, let's have a look.
I'm emotionally invested in this.
Sorry.
There you go.
Yeah, I was literally pulling the lead out.
Where are they?
Look for the umpires.
No, I'll tell you what I'm going to do next time out. I'm going to actually disconnect the camera when we're test streaming. I'm going to disconnect the comms cam because obviously there's a mic on it.
Huh?